The envelope from my son contained a gray plastic wristband stamped service access. Not mother of the groom, not family, not even Evelyn, which would have at least suggested I was a person somebody expected to arrive. Service access. Underneath it was a 3-page schedule that started at 6 Friday morning at the loading entrance of Bellwether House. Receive flowers, check welcome bags, direct arriving relatives, steam jackets, confirm memorial display, remain available near ballroom kitchen through cake service. At the bottom, in smaller print, it said vendor meals would be provided in the rear corridor. Daniel had added a yellow sticky note in his slanted handwriting. This gets you everywhere you need to be. Knew I could count on you. Love, D. I sat at my kitchen table with the wristband in my palm and read that note until the words went strange. 3 weeks from Saturday, my only son was getting married. I had a blue dress hanging upstairs with the tags still on it. I had 12 boxes of his wedding decorations stacked against my dining room wall. And I had no idea whether I had just been invited to Daniel's wedding or hired for it without pay. The mail truck groaned away from the curb while I kept sitting there, as if the driver might realize there'd been a mistake and come back. He did not. I picked up the schedule again. The pages were fresh and stiff, color-coded by time and location. Daniel and Camille had paid someone to make them pretty. Tiny gold bells decorated the corners, which struck me as optimistic for instructions that included locating electrical outlets and checking men's shirts for deodorant marks. My name appeared 11 times. Evelyn, flowers. Evelyn, welcome bags. Evelyn, family directions. Evelyn, emergency sewing kit. I was listed more often than the bride. That should have made me laugh. Under normal circumstances, it would have. At 68, you either develop a sense of humor or start throwing canned goods at the evening news. But something about that gray band sitting against my skin made my fingers cold. I fastened it loosely around my wrist. It looked exactly like the kind they gave us at the hospital when my husband, Frank, was dying, except that one had said visitor. I had spent 4 days in a vinyl chair beside the man I'd been married to for 37 years, and even then somebody had managed to label me as belonging in the room. I pulled the wristband off before the little plastic teeth locked. "Don't be dramatic," I said aloud. The refrigerator hummed back at me. Talking to appliances was one of the habits I'd acquired since Frank died. The refrigerator was less judgmental than the microwave, which beeped at me if I took too long. I carried the envelope into the dining room. Calling it a dining room was generous at that point. It had become a wedding warehouse with wallpaper. Boxes lined one wall in 2 neat rows, each marked in black pen. Table numbers, welcome bags, memorial, bathroom baskets, candles, unscented. The unscented part had been underlined twice because Camille's aunt had a sensitivity. I had never met Camille's aunt. I knew she couldn't tolerate lavender. That was how the previous 8 months had gone. Daniel would call while I was folding laundry or watering the begonias and begin with, "Mom, quick question." No question in the history of motherhood had ever been quick if it started that way. Could I track down Cousin Paul's new address? Did I remember whether Aunt Denise still used her married name? Would I mind picking up clear cellophane bags if I happened to be near the craft store? I never happened to be near the craft store. It was 22 minutes away in a shopping center designed by a person who hated left turns. Still, I went. I liked being included. That was the embarrassing truth. Every errand felt like a small, open door into Daniel's life, and I stepped through each one carrying scissors, tape, and a receipt I would forget to give him. The welcome bags had taken over my dining table for 6 weeks. Camille had chosen local coffee packets, little jars of honey, aspirin, bottled water, and cookies, shaped like the state. The cookies broke if you looked at them with doubt. 2 Sundays earlier, Daniel and Camille had sat in that room with me assembling the first batch. Camille tied gold ribbon around the handles, while Daniel kept stealing chocolate mints from a separate box meant for the pillows at Bellwether House. "If 47 people don't get mints," Camille said, "I'm telling them your mother ate them. My mother has integrity. My mother has diabetes, I said. Use her, it'll sound more dangerous. Camille laughed so hard she tied one of the ribbons to her own sleeve. That was the thing. I liked her. People want a daughter-in-law to be easy to explain. They want her cold or spoiled or sweet enough to put on a greeting card. Camille was none of those things for long. She could be generous and controlling within the same breath. She once drove 40 minutes to bring me soup when I had the flu, then rearranged my spice cabinet while I slept. She worked in hotel event sales, which meant she could make any request sound like an upgrade. Evelyn, would you be open to a more cohesive ribbon width? No. Okay, I respect your process. You're holding scissors. I'm only asking the ribbon what it wants. Daniel had watched us bicker with a soft, pleased look on his face, like a man admiring two appliances that had finally connected to the same network. He got that look whenever Camille and I handled something without him. I hadn't noticed that before. Standing among the boxes with the gray band in my hand, I noticed it. My phone buzzed on the dining table and my heart jumped like Daniel had somehow heard me thinking. It was only a pharmacy reminder. I dismissed it, then opened my messages with him anyway. The last one was from the previous night. Did the frames come? Yes. 2 have cracked corners. I can exchange them tomorrow. You're a lifesaver. A blue heart followed. I stared at that heart longer than any reasonable woman should stare at a colored dot. Then I typed, got the wristband and schedule. Can you call me? 3 dots appeared almost immediately. They vanished. A minute later, he wrote, in meetings all afternoon. Everything should be pretty self-explanatory. You're the best. I set the phone face down. The memorial box sat at the end of the bottom row. I had not opened it in several days because it contained photographs of Frank, and grief was sneaky around photographs. You thought you were looking at your husband holding a fishing pole, and suddenly you were back in a hospital parking garage, unable to remember where you left the car. Daniel wanted one picture of his father on a small table near the ceremony entrance. He had asked me to choose it. I had chosen 6. Frank on our wedding day, grinning like he'd personally invented marriage. Frank teaching Daniel to hold a wrench. Frank asleep in a lawn chair with a paper plate balanced on his chest. Frank in a dark suit at Daniel's college graduation, his hand resting on our son's shoulder. Camille had gently reduced the selection to 2. We wanted to feel honoring, she'd said, not heavy. I understood what she meant. Weddings weren't supposed to look like funerals with better flowers. Still, I wondered now whether I had been reduced too, not removed. Just placed somewhere less visible so the mood stayed light. That thought embarrassed me enough that I returned to the kitchen and made coffee I did not need. My sister Lorraine arrived while it was brewing. She did not knock. Lorraine believed knocking was appropriate for strangers and police officers, neither of whom she intended to become. You're making coffee at 4:30, she said, dropping her purse on a chair. Are we opening a diner? I got wedding instructions. That sounds ominous. Lorraine was 4 years younger than I was and dressed as though someone might invite her to lunch with no warning. She had on white slacks, a green blouse, and earrings large enough to receive radio signals. Since retiring from the county assessor's office, she devoted herself to pickleball, expensive face cream, and knowing things before other people did. She spotted the padded envelope. That mine? Why would Daniel send your wedding package to my house? He sent your Christmas gift here last year. He was hiding it. It was a blender. He's bad at hiding. Lorraine picked up the gray band before I could stop her. She read it once. Then she looked at me over her glasses. What service are you accessing? I assume it's for early entry. You assume? I'm helping them set up. Evelyn, you've been helping them set up since February. It's a large wedding. It's a wedding, not the Normandy invasion. I took the band from her and tucked it under the schedule. Lorraine's mouth tightened. She had spent my entire life getting angry 5 minutes before I was ready. As girls, she had bitten a neighbor for taking my bicycle. I hadn't asked her to. I also hadn't stopped her very quickly. What did Daniel say? She asked. He's in meetings. Daniel sells commercial lighting. He still has meetings. So did I. Half of them were about where to order sandwiches. I poured 2 cups, although she took hers with so much cream it ceased to qualify as coffee. While I opened the refrigerator, she dug through her purse. I came over because I got mine today, too. Your what? My wedding thing. She placed a small cream-colored box on the table. Daniel and Camille's names were printed across the lid in raised gold letters. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, was a gold wristband. Full weekend guest. Lorraine also had a folded card welcoming her to the Friday rehearsal dinner, Saturday ceremony and reception, and Sunday farewell brunch. For a moment, neither of us said anything. My coffee maker clicked off behind me. Lorraine reached for my schedule. I let her take it this time. Her eyes moved down the first page, then the second. When she reached the note about vendor meals, she sat back. Where is your guest band? I'm sure the service one gets me into those events too. Then why didn't they send me one? I know how to carry a box. You complain while you do it. I complain beautifully. People pay extra for that. I tried to smile, but my face would not cooperate. Lorraine laid her gold band beside my gray one. Same size, same little locking teeth. Different worlds printed in black. Call him, she said. He said he's busy. Call him while he's busy. I picked up my phone, then put it down. There are questions you delay because you're afraid of the answer. Not because the answer will surprise you, but because some quiet part of you already knows it. Lorraine saw that part of me. Her voice softened. Evie. I pressed Daniel's name. He answered on the 5th ring with a sigh. Mom, I told you I'm in meetings. I know, I just need one quick answer. Across the table, Lorraine stared at the 2 wristbands. I asked my son where I was supposed to sit at his wedding. The line went so quiet I could hear him breathing. Then Daniel said, Mom, you told me you wanted to help. You told me you wanted to help. I do want to help. Okay, so what's the problem? The problem is I asked where I'm sitting, and you didn't answer. Daniel exhaled again, quieter this time. I pictured him at the long, white conference table in his office, one hand over the phone, checking whether anybody could hear him being inconvenienced by his mother. We're still working through some seating issues. The wedding is in 3 weeks. I'm aware of the date, Mom. Lorraine lifted her gold wristband and pointed at it. I turned away from her. She followed me with the persistence of a housefly. I'm asking a simple question, I said. Do I have a seat at the ceremony? The ceremony isn't really seated the same way as the dinner. Daniel? There are chairs, obviously. I'm glad you clarified that. He made a small sound that might have been a laugh if either of us had been enjoying ourselves. Bellwether has strict capacity limits, he said. Camille's parents have made the numbers complicated. Since they're divorced, they each have their own people, and then her dad added some clients at the last minute. It's political. Your mother being at your wedding is political? That's not what I said. Lorraine held out her hand for the phone. I slapped it away without looking. Daniel continued in the calm, patient tone he used when teaching me how to update my television. The service band gives you access before the regular guests arrive. You won't get stuck waiting at the main entrance, and you can move between the event spaces. Can I sit at the ceremony? You'll be able to see it. From a chair? Why are you doing this? That question stopped me. Not because it was cruel. Daniel wasn't cruel in the obvious ways. He never shouted at waitresses or forgot my birthday. He sent flowers on the anniversary of Frank's death and called every Sunday unless something came up. Cruelty would have been easier to recognize. He sounded genuinely confused. I'm trying to understand what you sent me, I said. I sent you the access we discussed. We never discussed a wristband that says service. It's just their label. It says my meal is in a hallway. It's not a hallway. Bellwether calls it the rear corridor, but it's basically a staff lounge. Lorraine's eyebrows climbed so high they nearly disappeared into her hair. My package doesn't list the rehearsal dinner, I said. It doesn't list the reception or brunch. Because you don't need a guest itinerary. You have the full operations schedule. Lorraine has a guest itinerary. His silence changed shape. Lorraine leaned closer to the phone as if she could crawl through it. You two are comparing packages now? She brought hers over. Of course she did. I'm sitting right here, Lorraine announced. I know you are, Aunt Lorraine, and I can hear you digging. I covered the phone. Please don't help. I haven't started helping. Lorraine, Daniel said, this is between me and Mom. Then answer your mother. Go play pickleball. I hope all your light fixtures flicker. Daniel laughed despite himself. For 1 second, he was my boy again, trying not to be amused at the dinner table while Lorraine said something inappropriate. The sound loosened the knot in my chest, which I suspect was why he allowed it. Then he said, Mom, we're already over the room limit. You told me formal events make you tired, and you said you'd rather keep busy than sit around making small talk. I said I didn't need to be entertained. Right. That is not the same as saying I didn't need to be invited. You are invited. As what? He didn't answer. I looked at the blue heart in our message thread and wished I hadn't. What about the parent dances? I asked. We're not doing all that. All what? The traditional spotlight stuff. Camille might do something with her dad for half a song, depending on how he feels. And you? It would be weird without Dad. My throat tightened. Your father has been gone 4 years. A dance with me wouldn't pretend otherwise. I know, but then everybody's looking at us thinking about him. You'll be emotional. I'll be emotional. It changes the mood. You mean it makes people sad? That's not... You don't want your wedding to feel heavy. Nobody said heavy. Camille had. Not about me. About Frank's photographs. Honoring, not heavy. On the table, my gray wristband lay straight, while Lorraine's gold one curled toward it. Daniel's voice softened. Mom, I'm not trying to hurt you. I thought I was giving you the kind of role you'd be comfortable with. You know every relative. You're good in a crisis. Camille's been telling everybody we couldn't do this without you. There it was. The compliment placed carefully over the bruise. Usually it worked. I had been called dependable my whole life. Dependable was what teachers wrote about girls who didn't cause trouble. It was what Frank said when I managed the bills through his first layoff. It was what Daniel wrote in Mother's Day cards after he became too old to draw flowers. You're the one I can always count on. I had treated that sentence like a medal. Does Camille know what's in my package? I asked. Of course she does. She made the schedules. Does she know I don't have a seat? I didn't say you don't have a seat. You haven't said I do. I have to go. Daniel, I'm walking into a meeting. What meeting starts at 4:47? A meeting with people who don't ask where I'm sitting. The words came out sharp. He knew it immediately. Sorry, he said. That was unnecessary. I waited, but I am under a lot of pressure, and there it was again. The apology followed by the reason I should not require one. We'll talk later, he said. Please don't turn this into some big thing with Aunt Lorraine. Your Aunt Lorraine is capable of turning a napkin into a big thing. Because most people fold them wrong, she called. I love you, Mom. I'll call tonight. The line went dead. Lorraine sat back and crossed her arms. He put you in a corridor. He said it's basically a staff lounge. Oh, good. Maybe there'll be lockers. I carried our coffee cups to the sink. Mine was still almost full. Behind me, tissue paper rustled as Lorraine packed her wristband away. He's overwhelmed, I said. So are air traffic controllers. They still know where the planes go. Camille's family is difficult about numbers. Every family is difficult about numbers. It's how weddings become weddings. There may be another band coming. There may be a pony coming. Do you smell hay? I turned on the faucet harder than necessary. A spoon rattled against the drain. Lorraine came to stand beside me. Our reflections in the dark kitchen window looked like two women pretending not to study each other. You don't have to defend him to me, she said. I'm not. You are washing an already clean cup. I shut off the water. If I assume the worst every time somebody handles something badly, I'll spend the rest of my life alone. There's a wide stretch of land between assuming the worst and eating chicken salad beside a mop bucket. You don't know they're serving chicken salad. That's true. It could be turkey wrap. I laughed, and the laugh broke in the middle. Lorraine put one hand between my shoulder blades. She didn't rub or pat. She just left it there, warm and steady. I bought a dress, I said. I know. He hasn't seen it. I have. You look gorgeous. You said it needed different shoes. Gorgeous women still need proper shoes. I looked toward the doorway. From where we stood, I could see the edge of the dining room and the towers of boxes. What am I supposed to do with all that? Today, nothing. The frames have to be exchanged. The frames can be ugly overnight. The cracked corners catch on the fabric. Let them catch. That was not the way Lorraine normally talked. Lorraine once drove across town during a thunderstorm because she remembered a coupon expired at midnight. I dried my hands. "They're expecting me," I said. "They're expecting your labor." "That's not the same thing." The sentence landed too cleanly. I disliked it on sight. I took the schedule from the table and read it again, searching for the line I must have missed. Surely there would be a note beside the ceremony, a family photo time, a place to change into my blue dress. At 4:30 Saturday afternoon, the schedule said, "Evelyn, final check of ballroom entry table. At 5 o'clock, guest seating begins. Service access must remain clear of main aisle. At 5:30, ceremony." My name did not appear again until 6:05, when I was supposed to make sure the memorial photographs had been moved safely before cocktail service. Lorraine read over my shoulder. "Where are you during the vows?" "I suppose near the entry table." "You suppose?" "I'll ask." You did ask. The front of the refrigerator held a photograph of Daniel at 7, missing both front teeth and holding a wooden birdhouse he had made for me. The roof slanted. One side had 3 nails sticking out. Frank had offered to help him fix it, but Daniel refused because it was for his mom, and he wanted to make the whole thing himself. That birdhouse was still in my garage. I could not connect the boy in the photograph to the man who had just asked why I needed a chair at his wedding. Mothers do that. We keep every age our children have ever been, stacked inside the person standing in front of us. It makes evidence difficult. My phone buzzed. For one foolish second, I thought Daniel had called back. It was Camille. She had sent me a photograph of ivory lace spread across a desk. The old veil I had repaired was beside 2 combs, one silver and one gold. "Emergency," her message said. "Which comb?" "Daniel says silver. I say gold." His entire contribution to the veil was asking if it came with batteries, so his vote should not count. I showed Lorraine. "What do I say?" "The truth." "About the comb?" "Gold," I typed, "gold." The silver disappears against the lace. Camille sent 3 gold hearts. Then another message appeared. "You are saving my life with this wedding. I hope you know that." I sat down. Lorraine read it and pulled out the chair across from me. "Does that sound like she knows?" she asked. "I don't know what she knows." "Ask her. I'm not dragging her into an argument with Daniel. You're already in an argument with Daniel. She's marrying the argument, not today." Lorraine made a frustrated noise but let it go. After she left, the house grew too quiet. I carried the wristbands upstairs, though I could not have explained why. Lorraine had forgotten hers on purpose. She would later claim otherwise, but my sister had never forgotten an accessory in her life. I laid the gold band on the dresser beside the jewelry I was considering for the wedding. The gray one went beside it. Then I unzipped the garment bag. The dress was deep blue, fitted through the waist, with sleeves made of soft, sheer fabric. I had chosen it because Frank used to say blue made my eyes look less likely to convict someone. At the store, the saleswoman had asked what the groom's mother was wearing. I'd said, "She's still deciding," before realizing she meant me. I slipped the dress off its hanger and held it against myself in the mirror. Downstairs, the phone rang. Daniel. I let it ring 4 times before answering. His voice was bright, almost playful. "Okay, meeting over. Crisis mom hour." I looked at the woman in the mirror holding a dress nobody had asked about. "I won't work the wedding, Daniel." He didn't laugh this time. "What does that mean?" "It means if you want me there as your mother, invite me as your mother." "Mom, we have been over this." "No, you talked around it. The bands are already assigned. Then I suppose mine is assigned to the wrong person." He went silent. I placed the blue dress carefully back on its hanger. "I'll return everything I've finished," I said. "You'll have 3 weeks to find someone else for the rest." His voice dropped. "You cannot do this to me now." And for the first time since the envelope arrived, I understood that he was not afraid I would miss his wedding. He was afraid I would stop making it work. "That's what this is about?" Daniel asked. "You think I'm using you? I think you mailed me a work schedule instead of a wedding invitation. You already had the invitation." I addressed it. "That doesn't mean it wasn't for you. I addressed every envelope, Daniel. I didn't assume Paul and Denise invited me to their wedding because I put stamps on theirs. This is ridiculous. No, it's very specific. That's why you don't like it." He moved somewhere quieter. A door closed on his end, and the office sounds disappeared. "Camille is counting on you," he said. "You keep saying that, because she is. We both are. This isn't some random favor I asked you to do. We built the weekend around knowing you'd be there, near the ballroom kitchen. Would you stop saying that? It's printed on the page. It's a staging area. You wouldn't be standing next to the dishwasher. That clears everything up. You'd be moving around. You'd see people. You'd see the ceremony." From where? Why does the exact chair matter so much? I sat on the edge of my bed. The blue dress hung crooked behind me because I hadn't zipped the garment bag. "The chair matters because you planned where 200 people would be," I said. "You made a place for your dentist. Dr. Morris is Camille's father's guest. You made a place for a man who has had his hands in your mouth more recently than mine. That is a deeply strange way to put that. It's still true." He was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, some of the fight had gone out of him. "I thought you'd be happier doing something." "Why?" "Because that's how you are. How am I?" "You don't sit still. You hate being fussed over." At Dad's retirement dinner, you spent half the night helping the restaurant staff find extra forks. They had one waitress for 40 people. Exactly. That was your father's retirement dinner, not your wedding. You see what needs doing. And that means nobody has to see me? That's not fair. No, it isn't. His breathing changed. He was angry now, but under the anger was panic, and the panic still reached me. I almost told him we could discuss it tomorrow. I almost said I would handle the flowers and welcome bags, but nothing after the ceremony. I had negotiated myself downward for him so many times that my mind could do it without permission. Then he said, "If this is about not having a spotlight moment, I can talk to the photographer. We'll make sure we get pictures." A picture. He thought the missing thing was proof I'd been there. "I'm going to finish packing the boxes," I said. "You can collect them tomorrow. I have a client dinner tomorrow. Then the next day. The place cards aren't done." "No, you said you'd finish them this week. I also thought I was attending your reception. So now you're holding the place cards hostage?" "They're in my dining room, not tied to a chair. You know what I mean. I know you have 3 weeks." "Mom." "You should call whoever gets the gray band after me." I ended the call before he could say anything else. My hand shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Ending a call with Daniel felt unnatural, even when he was a teenager and could turn a 2-syllable word into a personal insult. I had waited for him to hang up first. It was a small courtesy, then a habit, then apparently a rule I had never noticed obeying. The phone rang again. I watched it. When it stopped, a message appeared. "This is not you." Another followed. "Please call me when you've calmed down." I turned the phone off. The blue dress watched me from its open bag. "You're not helping," I told it. The dress, like the refrigerator, declined to apologize. I slept badly and woke at 5:30 with the powerful conviction that I had forgotten something. For several seconds, I thought Daniel was still 12, and I had failed to sign a permission slip. Then I saw the gold wristband on my dresser. Morning made everything seem both more foolish and more real. I put on my robe, went downstairs, and found 9 missed messages after turning my phone back on. 4 were from Daniel. 3 were wedding vendors. 1 was from Cousin Paul asking whether his hotel room had a walk-in shower. The last was from a number I didn't recognize, wondering if I could confirm that gluten-free cookies were included in 6 welcome bags. I had become a customer service department. My thumb hovered over Paul's message. He had arthritis in both knees and a wife who considered elevators an attack on her dignity. If I didn't answer, he might end up climbing stairs all weekend. I typed, "Please contact Daniel about hotel arrangements." I added Daniel's number, then stared at the screen. The response looked cold. I nearly followed it with an apology and 3 possible solutions. Instead, I sent it. Paul replied with a thumbs up. That was all. Nobody died. I forwarded the vendor messages to Daniel, made toast, and began packing. The boxes had already been packed, technically. I had packed, unpacked, and improved them so many times that each one had developed internal neighborhoods. The bathroom baskets contained pain reliever, antacids, stain removal pens, breath mints, sewing kits, bandages, hairspray, safety pins, and little envelopes marked "feminine products" in gold lettering, as if shame required calligraphy. I sealed the box. The welcome bags were only half assembled. I put the remaining supplies into a separate carton with the sample bag on top. Beneath it, I added the typed guest list, the dietary notes, and account of everything inside. I hated myself a little for making the instructions so clear. Then I hated that hatred too. A boundary did not require me to become careless. Daniel had grown accustomed to confusing my care with my surrender. I had helped with that confusion. At 9, he texted, "I can come at 6. No greeting. No mention of the night before." I replied, "Everything will be ready." His answer came immediately. "Including place cards?" I set the phone down. He called at 6:08 from my driveway. "I'm here. I can see your car. The trunk is full of lighting samples. Then put the back seats down." A pause. "Can you come look?" "I don't think it'll fit." I stood at the front window watching him beside his black SUV, phone to his ear. He wore the navy jacket I had given him for his birthday, though I had told him it needed tailoring through the shoulders. In one hand, he held a paper bag from Marconi's bakery. He lifted the bag toward the window. I brought cannoli. Bribery worked better when it contained ricotta. I opened the door. Daniel smiled cautiously. "Peace offering." Peace usually comes with words. "I said the words last night. You said I needed to calm down. I was trying not to escalate. You have a gift. For leadership? For making aggravating phrases sound professional." He kissed my cheek before I could decide whether to let him. He smelled like coffee and the cedar cologne Camille had bought him. "I'm sorry I snapped," he said. It was not the apology I wanted, but it was close enough to make me ache. "Come inside." He saw the boxes in the dining room and stopped. Wow, 14 total. There were 12. The unfinished items needed separate boxes. He set the cannoli on the table and scanned the labels. His eyes moved quickly, taking inventory before they looked at me. "Did you do the place cards?" "No. So they're blank? The names are printed. They still need to be attached to the folded cards and arranged by table." "Mom, that's the part that takes forever." "Yes." "Couldn't you finish just those? You're already set up for it." The hope I had allowed myself on the front porch folded neatly in half. "No." He put both hands in his pockets. "I'm trying here." "So am I. You packed everything before we had a chance to talk. We're talking now." "No, you made your decision and put it in boxes. I asked you where I was sitting, and I told you the seating was complicated. Mine isn't." He looked toward the kitchen, jaw moving. Daniel had Frank's habit of chewing the inside of his cheek when angry. With Frank, I could tell which arguments would pass by the side of his face. Daniel's anger sat deeper. He could sound calm while storing every word for later. "Camille's dad paid for most of the reception," he said. "He added people." "I don't control that. You control whether your mother is one of them. That is such an unfair simplification." "Then complicate it for me." "The family table is already tense. Camille's parents can't sit together. Her father's partner needs to be included. Her mother refuses to be seated near either of them. Aunt Lorraine was put with the cousins because she'll talk to anyone. You don't enjoy that kind of thing. I don't enjoy colonoscopies. I can survive dinner. I was trying to spare you. From your wedding? From being uncomfortable? You assigned me to steam 6 jackets. That's before people arrive. You keep describing my exclusion like a favor. Daniel looked at the floor. For 1 second, I saw it register. Not fully, but enough to make him uncomfortable. Then he glanced at the boxes again. What about the frames? Exchanged. The new ones are wrapped in the memorial box. And the photos? Inside. Did you use the one from graduation? Yes. Good. He moved to lift the box, then paused. Where are Dad's cufflinks? In the small blue case. Upstairs? In the box marked Daniel, personal. He looked over his shoulder at the stack. Which one is that? The one marked Daniel, personal. You don't have to say it like I'm stupid. I labeled the top and both sides. He found it near the wall. Along with the cufflinks, I had placed his spare tie, the handwritten toast Frank gave at our wedding, and a photograph Daniel had asked for months earlier. The box was not large, but he held it differently after he knew what it contained. Thanks, he said. You're welcome. He carried 3 boxes to the SUV. I helped with the first despite myself. At the car, he shifted a case of lighting samples into the front passenger seat, swearing when one slid onto the floor. By the 4th trip, sweat darkened his shirt collar. You could have packed lighter, he muttered. The candles are made of wax. I had little influence. His mouth twitched, but he refused the laugh. When only the place card box remained, he stared at it. Are you seriously not coming? As service staff? No. And if I can't change the band, then you've made your decision too. It's a wristband. It's a place. He picked up the box. At the door, he turned back. If you change your mind, tell me before Thursday. I need reliable numbers. Reliable. There was my medal again. After he drove away, I noticed the bakery bag still sitting on the dining table. Inside were 2 cannoli, one plain and one dipped in chocolate, because Daniel remembered I liked that one better. I ate it standing in the empty room, furious that love could be present and still not be enough. The empty dining room looked larger and worse. 4 pale rectangles showed where the boxes had protected the wallpaper from sunlight. A single gold ribbon lay under the table, curled like something shed by an insect. I picked it up, then caught myself wondering whether Daniel might need it. I threw it away. 5 minutes later, I took it out of the trash because it was perfectly good ribbon. This was not going to be a graceful transformation. The next morning, I moved the dining table back to the center of the room. It left tracks in the carpet and one leg wobbled because Frank had once repaired it using a folded matchbook and confidence. I knelt to fix it properly, found the old cardboard still wedged underneath, and sat on the floor holding it. Palermo's Pizza, the matchbook said, though Palermo's had closed 11 years earlier. Frank could repair a table in 3 minutes and leave evidence of himself under it for a decade. My phone rang before I decided whether to laugh or cry. The caller identified herself as Megan from Bellwether House. Her voice had the polished concern of someone trained to make emergencies feel like package options. Mrs. Mercer, I'm updating our contact sheet, and Daniel mentioned there may be a change in the family liaison role. There is. Wonderful. Who should replace you? I don't know. A pause. I'm sorry? Daniel is handling that. Of course. He asked me to reach out because you have the arrival information for several out-of-town guests. I put everything in the box marked Family Arrivals. Another pause, this one less polished. Would Daniel know which box that is? He carried it out of my dining room. I'll make a note. I almost offered to email the spreadsheet too. It sat on my laptop, sorted by arrival time, airport, dietary restrictions, and likelihood of complaining. Lorraine had earned her own category. Instead, I said, Daniel has a printed copy. Perfect. Thank you for everything you've done. The sentence sounded sincere. That made it worse. By noon, 2 more people called. A shuttle company needed a final count. The florist wanted confirmation that the memorial table would hold 2 frames, not 6. Each time, I directed them to Daniel. Each time, I felt like I was abandoning a shopping cart in traffic. At 2:15, Daniel texted, "Where is the spreadsheet?" I wrote, "Printed copy is in family arrivals. I need the digital one." I sent it to his email. He replied, "Thanks." Then, a minute later, the room notes don't say which relatives can share a shuttle. I typed 3 paragraphs explaining it. I deleted them. "Ask the relatives," I wrote. His reply took longer. "Seriously?" I left the phone in the kitchen and went outside to cut dead blooms off the hydrangeas. It was too warm for the sweater I had put on, but I kept wearing it because changing would have meant admitting I was bothered. Lorraine arrived carrying pruning shears larger than necessary. "I brought weapons," she said, "for the hydrangeas, for whatever needs cutting. You are not cutting Daniel." I'd start with the schedule. She attacked the bush beside mine. Lorraine did not understand gentle pruning. Plants either survived her or became lessons. "Did he call you?" I asked. "He asked if I knew which cousins were staying Sunday night." "Do you?" "Yes." "Did you tell him?" "No." Lorraine. I told him to ask the cousins. People enjoy discussing their travel plans. That's why God invented boarding groups. I clipped a brown flower head and dropped it into the bucket. He's under pressure. So is canned whipped cream. It still comes out cheerful. "You're enjoying this." Her shears stopped. "No, I'm not." I looked at her. Lorraine lowered the blades. "I enjoy being right. I do not enjoy being right about this." That distinction was pure Lorraine, and fair. She glanced toward my house. "Where'd the boxes go?" He picked them up. "All of them?" "Yes." "Did he apologize?" "He brought cannoli. That's not an apology. That's Italian frosting. It was good. I'm sure betrayal pairs beautifully with chocolate." I threw a hydrangea bloom at her. It bounced off her shoulder, showering brown petals down her blouse. She looked offended for half a second, then threw one back. We spent 10 minutes acting like elderly children in my side yard. By the time we stopped, both of us were covered in dead petals and laughing hard enough that my ribs hurt. That was how Camille found us. She pulled into the driveway in her silver sedan and remained behind the wheel for a moment, watching Lorraine pick leaves out of my hair. "Bride incoming," Lorraine murmured. "Behave." I have never responded well to that word. Camille stepped out holding a garment bag. She wore black pants, flat shoes, and the strained expression of a woman whose day had developed too many tabs. "I hope this isn't a bad time. We're landscaping," Lorraine said. Camille studied the damaged shrubs. "Did they insult you?" "They knew what they did." I set down my shears. "What's in the bag?" "The veil." "The gold comb came, and I wanted to make sure it works before I take it back to the bridal shop. You drove all the way over for that?" "I was nearby." Bellwether House was nearby. Camille's office was not. Lorraine knew it too. "I'm going to shower the vegetation off my body." "You don't live here," I said. "I know where your shower is." She kissed my cheek, then gave Camille a look that was not hostile but did contain several questions sharpened to points. Camille watched her go inside. "Does she still have the gold wristband?" she asked. My stomach tightened. "Yes." "Daniel said she left it here." "She did." "Okay." Camille opened the back door of her car, then closed it without taking anything out. I didn't come about the veil, I assumed. Megan called me. We stood beside the hydrangeas Lorraine had nearly reduced to mulch. She said, "You're no longer the family liaison. I didn't know I was one until I got the schedule." Camille's lips parted. "What do you mean?" "I mean, Daniel sent me a schedule calling me that. I know about the schedule. I helped make it." "Did you help with the wristbands?" "The venue assigned access based on the names Daniel and I submitted." "What did he submit me as?" Her eyes moved toward the house, though there was nothing there to read. "Family support? Not guest?" "I thought that was what you wanted." The words came quietly. Behind us, an automatic sprinkler clicked on across the street. Water ticked against a hedge with ridiculous calm. "Why would I want that?" I asked. "Daniel said big formal dinners were hard for you since Frank died. He said you hated the idea of sitting at the family table alone while everyone did parent dances. We never discussed it. Camille went pale in a way that made me want to comfort her, which was inconvenient. He said you offered, she replied. He said keeping busy would make the weekend easier for you. Daniel says a lot of things correctly enough to sound true. She wrapped both arms around herself. I didn't question it because you've been doing so much. Every time I called, you had already solved whatever I was worried about. You never said, I didn't know. No, of course you didn't. Her eyes filled. She blinked the tears away before they could become a scene. I made that schedule, Evelyn. You made a schedule from what he told you. I put your name by the kitchen, rear corridor. She winced. It's not really a hallway? It's definitely a hallway. Despite everything, I laughed. Camille did too, once, miserably. Then she said, I can fix the band. Daniel said they're assigned. They're plastic, not federal appointments. It isn't the plastic. I know, but it's something concrete I can fix today. She pulled out her phone. I touched her wrist before she could make the call. Please don't. You should be there. Does Daniel think that? Daniel is overwhelmed and being an idiot. That isn't an answer. He loves you. I know. Camille looked surprised. People think love becomes doubtful when someone hurts you. Sometimes love is the only part you don't doubt, and that is why the hurt has somewhere to go. I am not asking whether he loves me, I said. I'm asking whether he wants me at the wedding if I'm not making it easier. He will. Will? She lowered the phone. I don't want a seat you forced him to find after discovering he lied to both of us. He didn't lie to me. Her defense came too quickly. I waited. Camille looked down at the dead petals stuck to her shoes. He gave me a version, she said. A useful version. Yes. We went inside, where Lorraine had changed into one of my robes and was eating the second cannoli at the kitchen counter. That was mine, I said. You hesitated too long. Camille stared at the pastry. Are those from Marconi's? Peace offering, Lorraine said. Camille's expression hardened. Daniel had apparently told her where he was going, but not why. I made tea because there are conversations American women cannot conduct until a kettle has screamed nearby. Camille declined twice, then drank half a cup without seeming to notice. She asked me exactly what Daniel had said about the seating. I told her. Not every sharp word. Not the dentist. The facts were enough. When I finished, she pressed her thumb against a drip of tea on the table. There was never a question of you seeing the ceremony, she said. I thought you were going to sit in the last chair on the aisle so you could step out if you needed to. Nobody told me that. I assumed Daniel had. What about dinner? Camille did not answer. Lorraine stopped chewing. What about dinner? I repeated. We were trying to shift people, Camille said. The final chart wasn't done. But there wasn't a seat. Not yet. And brunch? Daniel said you wouldn't come. He said Sunday mornings were hard because you and Frank used to. He died on a Tuesday. Camille closed her eyes. Lorraine muttered something impolite into her napkin. I felt strangely calm. Daniel had not invented an entirely different mother. He had taken real pieces of me, my dislike of fuss, my grief, my habit of staying busy, and arranged them into a woman who never needed anything from him. Camille stood. I need to talk to Daniel. That is between you and him. No, Evelyn. He made it between all three of us. She left the veil hanging over my kitchen chair. Neither of us noticed until her car was gone. Daniel called 11 minutes later. What did you say to Camille? Hello to you too. Why is she crying? You should ask her. She said you told her I lied. I told her what you told me. You had no right to dump this on her 2 weeks before our wedding. She came to my house. You could have let me handle it. You did handle it. That's not what I mean. I know. He started talking fast about pressure, seating, Camille's parents, expenses, all the moving pieces I had never appreciated. I let him finish. Then he said, What exactly do you want me to say? And there it was again. My son asking me to do the work. I looked at Camille's veil, the gold comb shining through lace I had repaired one small tear at a time. "Nothing I have to write for you," I said. Daniel was silent long enough for me to hear a door close on his end. "I'm not asking you to write anything," he said. "You just asked what you should say. I asked what you want. I want you to know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." He let out a breath that crackled against the phone. "Fine, I want you at the wedding." The words came fast and flat like a password he had finally guessed. "As your mother? Oh my God. That part seems to be causing trouble." "Yes, as my mother, obviously." "Then why wasn't I invited that way?" "You were. We gave you a different credential because you had a different schedule. Camille can change the band. We'll put another chair somewhere. Is that what you want?" There are times when a person gives you the exact words you asked for and manages to remove everything you wanted from them. "You're trying to end the argument," I said. "Yes, Mom. I would very much like to end the argument. That isn't the same as wanting me there. I cannot keep doing this. You don't have to. You know what? I'll have Bellwether send the guest band. Then you can decide whether a piece of plastic matters more than your son's wedding." He hung up. Lorraine had been pretending not to listen from the dining room. She appeared in the doorway still wearing my robe, the empty cannoli wrapper folded into a tiny square in her hand. I heard enough to dislike his tone. You dislike his breathing when you're in the mood. He breathes defensively. I put the phone on the counter and covered Camille's veil with a clean dish towel. "Did he say he wants you there?" "He said the sentence. That isn't what I asked." I looked at her. Lorraine tied the robe tighter. "I'm not completely without depth." "No. You just hide it under large earrings. They distract from the wisdom. She went home wearing my robe because neither of us remembered it belonged to me." Camille returned for the veil the next afternoon. She came to the front door this time instead of parking like she might need a fast escape. Her face was composed, but she had bitten the skin beside one thumbnail until it was red. I had seen Daniel do the same thing during final exams in college. It bothered me that distress had made them resemble each other. "The comb looks beautiful," I said. "Thank you." She folded the veil into the garment bag with excessive care. "Daniel asked Bellwether to issue a gold band," she said. "He told me. There's room at the ceremony. There always was. And dinner?" We moved two of my father's clients to a high-top table near the bar. That sounds comfortable. They're orthopedic salesmen. They can stand. I smiled in spite of myself. Camille didn't. "I'm sorry," she said. "Not just about the band. I should have talked to you directly. You believed Daniel. He's supposed to be believable." "Yes. He keeps saying he didn't lie because everything he said was based on something true. That is how he does it." Her eyes met mine. "He's done this before?" The honest answer was yes, but not in a way I had named. Daniel had always been good at arranging truths according to the answer he wanted. When he was 24, he told Frank that I was comfortable lending him money for a security deposit. He told me Frank thought it was a smart investment in his future. Both of us had expressed those opinions at different times. Neither of us had discussed giving him the money. When he wanted us to host Thanksgiving after I had surgery on my wrist, he told me Frank had already invited everyone, and told Frank I was looking forward to the distraction. Small things. Family things. We had called him persuasive. "I think Daniel hates disappointing people," I said. "So he edits the part where they might be disappointed. That still disappoints them. Later. Later feels cheaper." Camille zipped the bag. "He thinks I made him choose between us." "Did you?" "I told him if he didn't invite you properly, I would. That isn't choosing between us. He says it undermines him." "What does he say putting me in a hallway did? He says the hallway has been misrepresented." That pulled a laugh out of both of us. Camille sat at the kitchen table and covered her face with her hands. "I filled the kettle again. I'm angry at him," she said through her fingers. "And I'm angry at myself, which is less convenient. You have a wedding in 2 weeks. Convenience is gone. I should have noticed. You met me after I had already trained him. She lowered her hands. That's not fair to you. It's not entirely unfair. The kettle began to rumble. I liked being needed, I said. After Frank died, there was a lot of empty space. Daniel filled it with questions. Hotel lists and ribbon widths aren't companionship, but they make similar noises. Camille looked toward the dining room, where the boxes had been. I kept asking too, and I kept saying yes. I thought it made us closer. So did I. That hurt us both enough that we turned our attention to tea. Camille stayed for almost an hour. We discussed the veil, the weather, and whether the gold comb would pull loose during dancing. We did not discuss Daniel again until she was at the door. If the new band comes, will you come? Not because of the band. What would it take? I rested one hand on the veil bag. I need him to tell me he wants his mother at his wedding even if I don't lift a box, steam a jacket, direct a relative, or solve one problem. He does want that. Then he can say it without sounding like he's accepting a hostage demand. Camille nodded slowly. I won't put words in his mouth. Thank you. I may take some out. That is between you and him. The replacement wristband arrived by courier the following morning. The package was not padded. It was a rigid cream box identical to Lorraine's, with my name printed on a small gold label. Inside lay a full weekend guest band, a new itinerary, and a place card showing Table 4. Someone had crossed out Dr. and Mrs. Stephen Morris in blue ink and written Evelyn Mercer above them. There was no note from Daniel. I put the new band in my dresser beside the gray one. The contrast looked less dramatic now. Gray, gold, gold. Lorraine's forgotten band curled over mine like it was trying to start trouble. My blue dress hung above them. I took it back to the store that afternoon. The saleswoman remembered me. Her name was Patty, though the tag on her blouse said Patricia, as if retail required formality. Mother of the groom, she said. The blue is going to be gorgeous in pictures. I need to return it. Her smile changed, but did not disappear. Good salespeople know how to let silence work without making it rude. Was there a problem with the fit? No. The color? No. She waited. I may not be attending. Patty's eyebrows rose slightly. She was around my age, with silver hair cut so sharply it seemed capable of opening envelopes. Do you dislike the bride? I like her very much. The groom? He's my son. That wasn't my question. I laughed before I could stop myself. Patty unzipped the garment bag and inspected the dress. You're within the return period, she said. Tags are attached. I can process it? Good. She laid it across the counter, then ran the fabric between two fingers. This is a nice dress. I know. Do you need the money back? No. Then why are you returning it today? Because I don't want it watching me. Patty nodded as if this made perfect sense. Hang it in the guest room. It will still know where I am. Clothes are nosy. A younger employee passed carrying an armful of sequined dresses. She glanced at us, decided not to ask, and disappeared behind a curtain. Patty folded the garment bag over her forearm. You could return it next week. What difference would that make? You might decide you want it for somewhere else. It's a mother of the groom dress. It's blue fabric. We charge more when you give it a purpose. I looked at the sleeves I had loved in the fitting room. Keep it here until closing, Patty said. Go have lunch. If you still want the refund, come back. You do know this is a store, not counseling. Yes. Counseling has worse lighting. I left without the dress and drove to a diner 3 blocks away. I ordered soup, then regretted ordering soup because it was 90 degrees outside. I ate it anyway. My phone buzzed while I was crumbling crackers. Aunt Denise had sent a message to the extended family group. So excited. Who else is at table 9? Paul says he was moved because of shower needs, but I think he means walk-in shower. Not that he plans to bathe during dinner. LOL. 11 relatives responded at once. Then Cousin Paul wrote, Evelyn has all the answers. Before I could stop it, my name began appearing in questions. Evie, what time does the shuttle leave? Do you know if breakfast is included Friday? Is the welcome party indoors? Can I bring my own pillow? I set the phone face down beside the soup. It buzzed against the table until the spoon rattled. A woman in the booth across from me glanced over. I smiled apologetically and turned the phone off. When I returned to the dress shop, Patty was adjusting a mannequin's belt. "I'm keeping it," I said. "The groom come to his senses?" "No." "You going to the wedding?" "I don't know." She handed me the garment bag. "Then where are you wearing it?" "I don't know that either." "Good. Clothes enjoy mystery." At home, Daniel's car was parked in my driveway. He stood on the porch in shirt sleeves, his tie loosened, staring at the locked door as if it had personally betrayed him. "I called," he said. "My phone was off. I used my key. It didn't work. I changed the lock last year, remember? The old one jammed. You never gave me the new key. Apparently I hadn't." The realization felt like discovering a boundary I had set by accident. Daniel noticed the garment bag. "You returned the dress?" "No." His shoulders loosened. "I got the new band," I said. "Good. Problem solved." "No." He shut his eyes briefly. "What now?" I told Camille what I need. "Yes." She gave me the script. My fingers tightened around the hanger. It wasn't meant to be a script. That's what it feels like. Everybody's standing around waiting for me to say the magic words so I can be forgiven. There are no magic words. Then what do you want from me? I want you to understand why I'm hurt. I understand. You wanted a guest band. You have one. I wanted my son to make a place for me. I did. After Camille caught you lying. His face hardened. I came here to fix this. No. You came here because the replacement band didn't. I have vendors calling me every hour. Camille barely speaks to me. Aunt Lorraine sent me a photograph of an empty hallway with the words, "Found Mom's table." I'm doing my best. Despite myself, I almost smiled. Daniel saw it and looked wounded. "This is funny to you?" "No." "Then please come. We moved people. We printed your name. You have the gold band. What else can I do?" There were 100 answers, but none he could perform quickly. "Do you want me there if I do nothing for you?" I asked. He stared at me. Then his eyes dropped to the garment bag. "Why would you do nothing?" he said. "You're my mother." There it was. Not because you're my mother. Why would you do nothing? I looked at Daniel standing on my porch, genuinely waiting for me to explain what use a mother might have if she wasn't working. "Come inside," I said. "I thought you didn't want me to use my key. You don't have a key." "I know. That's why I'm standing out here." He followed me into the living room. I carried the dress upstairs before he could say anything else about it. When I came back, he had moved a stack of magazines off the couch and arranged them by size. Daniel tidied when he was anxious, which had made him a very popular roommate in college. I sat in Frank's old chair. Daniel glanced at it before taking the couch. He never sat there. Even after 4 years, neither of us did unless all the other seats were occupied. "What did you mean?" I asked. "About what? Why would I do nothing because I'm your mother?" "I didn't mean nothing literally. What did you mean figuratively?" He rubbed both hands over his face. "Everyone has responsibilities. Camille's cousin is doing a reading. My friend Marcus has the rings. Aunt Lorraine is supposed to help greet family at the rehearsal. Does Marcus get dinner? That's not the point. Does Camille's cousin eat in the corridor? No. Then they have roles. I had a shift. You would have been at the reception." "Where? We fixed it." "Where before you fixed it?" His jaw tightened. "I don't know." "You do." "There wasn't a specific chair yet." "Was there a non-specific chair?" "Mom." "Was I supposed to stand behind a curtain and eat whenever the florist did?" "No." "Then tell me what the plan was." He looked toward the fireplace. A framed photograph of him and Frank sat on the mantel, both of them squinting into the sun beside a lake. Daniel had been 19, all elbows and confidence. "The plan kept changing," he said. "Camille's father added people. Her mother threatened not to come if she had to sit near him. We lost 6 seats when Bellwether changed the layout around the band. And every time the plan changed, I moved farther out. You were flexible. I was convenient. You were helping. You keep using that word like it can't become ugly." Daniel leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You think I don't value you. I do. I call you every week. I came over when your garbage disposal broke. I took you to the eye doctor when they dilated your pupils. You spent the whole drive complaining about traffic. I still drove. Yes, you did. You called me at midnight when the smoke detector chirped. I thought something was burning. The battery was low. I thanked you. I know. I'm saying I show up too. His voice cracked on the last word, and the argument shifted beneath us. Daniel wasn't inventing those things. He had replaced the smoke detector battery, fixed the disposal, and sat in the eye doctor's parking lot eating pretzels while I wore plastic sunglasses over my regular ones. He had shown up, but he was offering those moments now like receipts. I'm not saying you've never done anything for me, I said. It feels like you're erasing everything because of one stupid band. The band told me something. It told you what door to use. Yes. He looked down. I let the silence remain. It was harder than filling it. Finally, he said, I didn't want the wedding to turn into a memorial for Dad. I had expected anger. The honesty caught me unprepared. Neither did I. You say that, but you picked 6 pictures. I picked 6 possibilities. You cry every time somebody tells a story about him. Not every time. At Christmas, Uncle Paul mentioned Dad dropping the turkey, and you had to go to the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom. You were in there 20 minutes. I'm 68. Daniel almost smiled. It disappeared quickly. I know what it's like when you're trying not to cry, he said. Your left eye goes red first. I had not known he noticed. The mother-son dance would have been awful, he continued. Everyone watching us knowing he should be there. I'd be thinking about him. You'd be thinking about him. Camille would feel guilty for being happy. Her parents would make it about themselves somehow. I just wanted one day that wasn't shaped around somebody missing. His face had gone young in the bad way, stripped of polish. I understood him then. Not enough to agree, but enough to see the fear underneath the schedule. You were allowed to tell me that, I said. I'm telling you now, after you decided for me. What would you have said if I asked? That I wanted to dance with my son. He looked away. Even if I cried, I said, even if you cried. We could have survived being sad for 3 minutes. I didn't want to. That matters. But you made my grief the reason to remove me instead of your reason for asking. I didn't remove you. You placed me out of sight. His eyes came back to mine. You're making it sound deliberate. Wasn't it? No. I wasn't sitting there thinking, how do I hurt Mom? I thought you'd be better moving around. I thought you'd feel useful. And yes, I thought that would be easier for me. The admission hung between us. I could work with truth, even when it cut. The trouble was, Daniel looked relieved, as though admitting it should finish the job. Thank you for saying that, I told him. So you'll come? No, he sat back. Not like this. I just did what you wanted. I was honest. Honesty isn't a vending machine. You don't put it in and get forgiveness. What else am I supposed to do? Sit with the fact that you hurt me. For how long? I don't know. The wedding is next Saturday. I don't have unlimited time for you to process this. I laughed once, quietly. Daniel stood. I didn't mean it like that. You keep not meaning things exactly the way you say them. I am trying to save my wedding, and I am trying to save whatever is left after it. He stared at me, then at Frank's empty chair. If you don't come, people will ask where you are. Tell them the truth. What truth? Your version or mine? The one where you sent your mother a service wristband and she declined the position. That makes me sound terrible. I didn't print the band. He grabbed his jacket from the couch. At the front door, he stopped with his hand on the knob. The dress is nice, he said without turning. Blue always looks good on you. Frank used to say the same thing. I hated Daniel a little for remembering, and loved him for it too. Thank you, I said. He left. The new guest package remained on my dresser all week. I never fastened the gold band. I would pick it up while getting ready in the morning, feel its weightless curve, and put it down again. Daniel did not call on Sunday. At 11, I sat at the kitchen table with coffee growing cold between my hands. 11:10 passed, then 11:30. I had not realized how much of my week was built around waiting for the phone to ring until it didn't. At noon, Lorraine called. Did he call? No. Good. It doesn't feel good. I didn't say it felt good. I said, it is good. You sound like a dentist. Pain can indicate progress. Now you sound like a dentist with a boat. She invited me to lunch. I said no, then called back 6 minutes later and said yes. We went to a Mexican restaurant where Lorraine ordered a margarita large enough to irrigate farmland. She spent 20 minutes criticizing the rehearsal outfit she had bought, then pushed a tortilla chip around her plate. I'm not going Friday, she said. To lunch? To the rehearsal dinner? You should go. Why? Because Daniel invited you. Lorraine looked at me over the salted rim of her glass. That sentence sounded better in your head, didn't it? I don't need you choosing sides. I have been choosing your side since Linda Carver stole your bicycle. You bit her. She gave it back. She needed stitches. Consequences improve memory. I lowered my voice. This is Daniel's wedding, and you are my sister. You can be both. I can attend the ceremony. I am not drinking champagne Friday while you sit home wondering who took your place. No one took my place. Exactly. Her certainty irritated me because it offered relief I did not want to accept. What will you tell him? I asked. That I won't make the rehearsal. He'll know why. I hope so. He's nearly 40. Pattern recognition should be setting in. I tried to argue again, but Lorraine held up one finger. I am not sacrificing the wedding to make a statement. I'm skipping one dinner because I don't want to be there. You don't get to decide what I want any more than Daniel gets to decide what you want. That shut me up. On Wednesday, Camille texted a picture of the veil attached to the gold comb. It looked beautiful. I responded with a heart. She replied, I miss you. I stared at the words, then wrote, I miss you too. Neither of us mentioned the wedding. Thursday afternoon, a florist left a voicemail asking me to verify delivery access. Then Bellwether called about welcome bag counts. Then Cousin Paul called because the shower in his room had a tub after all. I've told Daniel, he said, but you know Daniel. Yes, I said, I do. I gave Paul the hotel's front desk number and resisted solving anything else. At 6, the family message group began filling with photographs from arriving relatives, luggage, hotel rooms, Aunt Denise holding a cocktail beside a sign with Daniel and Camille's names. Every image seemed to come from a country that had denied my visa. I muted the group. At 9:30, Daniel sent one message. Tomorrow will be crazy. If you change your mind, service entrance opens at 6. Guest band check-in starts at 4 Saturday. He had offered me both doors and still had not asked me to walk through either. I set my phone beside the gray and gold bands. At 5:58 the next morning, it rang. The florist had arrived at Bellwether House. Nobody was there to let her in. I'm sorry, the florist said, but your number is listed first. My number shouldn't be listed at all. I have 28 centerpieces in a refrigerated truck. Her voice was young and frightened. In the background, I could hear the truck engine and a man saying something about double parking. Call Megan, I said. She's the coordinator at Bellwether. She isn't answering. Call Daniel. He isn't answering either. Of course he wasn't. At 6 in the morning, Daniel's phone lived face down on his nightstand, volume off. He had slept through fire alarms in college. Once Frank vacuumed around his bed to prove a point, and Daniel rolled over. I knew the side-loading entrance had a keypad. I knew Megan's assistant arrived at 6:15. I knew the flowers were supposed to go into the downstairs prep room, not the ballroom, because the air conditioning upstairs would not be lowered until noon. Knowing was the dangerous part. The assistant's name is Brooke, I said. She should be there in 15 minutes. If she isn't, the front desk can reach building security. Do you have Brooke's number? Yes. I closed my eyes. Then I gave it to her. Thank you so much, Mrs. Mercer. You just saved me. No, I said. I gave you a phone number. She laughed uncertainly, thanked me again, and hung up. At 6:12, the shuttle company called. At 6:19, an unfamiliar man wanted to know where to unload rented chairs. At 6:26, Aunt Denise reported that the coffee machine in her room had some kind of pod situation and asked whether I understood it. "It's like a tiny plastic cup," I said. "I know what it looks like, Evelyn." "I don't know where the water goes. Ask the front desk." "You sound tired." "I am. Big day." For some people. She went quiet. Before she could ask what I meant, another call came through. I let both lines disconnect and turned off the phone. The silence afterward felt irresponsible. I put the phone in the junk drawer beneath a roll of tape, 3 expired coupons, and a screwdriver that fit nothing in my house. Then I made coffee and stood at the kitchen window while the sky turned from gray to pale blue. At 6:45, I took the phone out. There were 6 new notifications. I put it back. By 7:30, I had opened that drawer 4 times. On the 5th, Lorraine walked into the kitchen carrying 2 grocery bags. "If you touch it again, I'm putting it in the freezer." "How long have you been outside?" "Long enough to watch you perform a very dull one-woman play. You could knock." "I have a key." She held it up. "Why does everybody have a key except my son?" "Because I return things." She unpacked bread, cheese, tomatoes, mustard, potato chips, a container of chicken salad, and a bottle of white wine. "It's breakfast. I'm preparing emotionally." "For what?" "Not attending the rehearsal dinner." Lorraine put the wine in the refrigerator and the chips in a serving bowl, although we both knew we would eat them before they reached a table. "You can still go," I said. "No. You bought an outfit. I'll wear it to the dermatologist. It has sequins. Dr. Patel appreciates effort." She looked toward the junk drawer. "How many calls?" I stopped counting. "How many did you answer?" 4. Evie. The florist was stranded. The florist owns a phone. She used it to call me. Lorraine took my coffee cup, added a splash of milk, and handed it back. "Today is going to teach you that people can solve things after calling the wrong person. What if they can't? Then the flowers sit in a truck for 15 minutes. You didn't hear her voice. I'm sure it was tragic. She had 28 centerpieces. Those poor captive peonies." I laughed, but my eyes burned. Lorraine saw. She turned away and began slicing tomatoes with the concentration of a surgeon. We spent the morning doing things that did not need doing. She reorganized the drawer where I kept dish towels. I swept the porch. We drove to the grocery store for mayonnaise, even though she had brought mustard specifically because she said chicken salad did not need mayonnaise. At the checkout, I almost asked to use the store phone to call Daniel. Lorraine caught me looking. "Don't." I didn't say anything. "You looked at that cashier like she operates emergency communications." Back home, I turned my phone on at noon. Most of the messages were practical. Bellwether had found the flowers, the chairs had been unloaded, Aunt Denise had conquered the coffee pod, Daniel had left 1 voicemail. "Mom, I know you're sending everyone to me. Fine. Message received. But if you know the answer, it would take less time to answer than to make a point. Also, the place card box only has the printed names. Nothing is assembled. You could have told me that." I replayed the last sentence. I had told him. In the dining room, while he stood beside the box. Memory becomes fragile around accusation. You can know exactly what happened and still inspect yourself for fingerprints. Lorraine held out her hand for the phone. "No, I want to hear it. You'll call him. I'll call his voicemail." I put the phone in my pocket. A message came from Camille. "I'm sorry people are calling you. I told Bellwether to remove your number." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then returned. "The flowers are beautiful." A photograph followed. White roses, greenery, and small blue flowers spilled from tall glass vases across a long work table. Behind them, I could see the service entrance where I was supposed to have arrived that morning. I enlarged the picture. A gray plastic band circled the florist's wrist. "What?" Lorraine asked. "Nothing." I showed her anyway. She examined the picture, then pinched the screen wider. "That tablecloth is crooked. I'm looking at the wristband. I know, I was trying to give you a better problem. I typed, "They're beautiful." Camille answered, "I wish you were here." My fingers moved before I decided what to say. I wish I were there too. I did not add a heart. Camille called immediately. Lorraine mouthed, "Answer." "Hi," I said. For a moment, all I heard was room noise, voices, carts rolling, someone testing a microphone with 3 dull taps. "I don't know what to say to you," Camille said. "You don't have to say anything. That seems to be what everyone is saying right before they say something." Despite myself, I smiled. "Are you all right?" "No." "Yes." "I don't know." "The florist is upset. My mother hates her suite, and one of the bathroom baskets has 18 stain pens but no aspirin. The aspirin is in the other basket." "I know." We found the label. I had labeled both baskets. Daniel must have separated the contents. "Camille, you don't need to report problems to me. I'm not trying to get you to fix them. I know. I wanted to hear your voice." I sat at the kitchen table. Lorraine placed a sandwich in front of me and quietly went outside. "I'm sorry this is sitting inside your wedding," I said. "Daniel put it there. So did I. You responded to what he did. I still made a choice. Are you coming tomorrow?" The question was careful, almost childlike, though Camille was 36 and had negotiated hotel contracts worth more than my house. "I don't know. He thinks you're not. What do you think? I think you should come." "I also think I understand why you may not. That's an uncomfortable place to stand. My shoes already hurt, so it fits the weekend." A man called Camille's name in the background. "I have to go," she said. "I'm supposed to approve a seating chart that has been approved 6 times. Go." "Evelyn?" "Yes?" "If you come, don't do anything." I looked at the sandwich Lorraine had made for me, cut diagonally because that was how Frank used to like them. "I'm practicing," I said. After we hung up, I ate half. The family photographs began around 4. People posing under the bellwether sign. Cousins at the hotel bar. Camille's mother in a lavender dress standing several feet from Camille's father and his partner. All 3 smiling with their mouths only. Lorraine appeared in my bedroom wearing her rehearsal outfit. It was dark green, not sequined exactly, but threaded with something that flashed whenever she moved. "Well?" she asked. "You look expensive." "I am." "You're going?" "No." I wanted the dress to know it wasn't the problem. She changed into white pants and one of my sweaters. At 6, we opened the wine. At 6:15, the rehearsal dinner began according to the gold itinerary on my dresser. We sat in the kitchen eating chicken salad sandwiches while muted family messages stacked up on the phone. At 7:03, Aunt Denise called Lorraine. At 7:05, Uncle Paul called me. At 7:10, Daniel called both of us in rapid succession. We did not answer. At 7:30, a photograph appeared of the rehearsal dinner tables. Small candles glowed between white flowers. A place card with Lorraine's name sat beside an empty chair. My name did not appear anywhere. Lorraine switched off the screen. "I'm sorry," I said. "For what?" "Your chair is empty because of me. My chair is empty because my backside is here. That's poetry. I've been drinking." At 8:15, Daniel called again. This time I answered. Music and voices swelled behind him. "Is Aunt Lorraine with you?" "Yes." "Why didn't she tell me she wasn't coming?" "She did." "You didn't answer. She sent me a thumbs down emoji. I thought she disliked the menu. That would usually require 3 paragraphs. Everyone keeps asking where you are. What are you telling them? That you aren't feeling well. I'm feeling fine. What do you want me to say? That my mother and aunt boycotted my rehearsal dinner over a wristband? Lorraine made her own choice." "Right. Completely unrelated." I heard glassware clink. Someone called for Daniel. He covered the phone, answered them, then came back. "The welcome bags were a mess," he said. "Half the room numbers changed. The honey leaked in one box, and there weren't enough state cookies. The count was in the folder. I found the count. Then you knew how many there were. I'm not asking you to fix it. It sounds like you are. I'm telling you what happened after you abandoned everything. I gave you 3 weeks. You gave me boxes and instructions. The place cards took Camille's cousins 5 hours. I told you they were unfinished. You knew what leaving would do." His voice had sharpened and mine went quiet. "Yes," I said. "I knew you would have to do the work. That's not what a mother does." "What does a mother do, Daniel?" He didn't answer. Behind him, somebody tapped a microphone. The room quieted. "I have to give a toast," he said. "Then go give it." A long pause followed. "Mom, I'm getting married tomorrow, I know. You could still come. Do you want me there? I need you to stop asking me that." The line went dead. Through the phone, just before the connection disappeared, I heard the first burst of applause meant for my son. Lorraine reached across the table and took my hand. Neither of us spoke. Upstairs, the blue dress hung in its bag, and 3 wristbands waited in the drawer. One of them could get me into the wedding. None of them could tell me whether I belonged there. I woke with my jaw aching from grinding my teeth. For one peaceful second, the day had no name. Sunlight came through the blinds. A lawnmower started somewhere down the street. Then my eyes moved to the clock, and my son's wedding landed on me all at once. Lorraine was asleep in the guest room. I found her on top of the covers, still wearing my sweater, one hand curled around the television remote. The screen displayed a silent infomercial for a vacuum cleaner powerful enough to lift a bowling ball. I shut it off. Her eyes opened. "What time is it?" 7:30. "Did you sleep?" "Some." "That means no." "It means some." She sat up, hair flattened on one side. "Have you decided?" "No. Do you want coffee before I ask again?" "Yes." In the kitchen, my phone showed 23 notifications and 1 missed call from Daniel at 2:11 in the morning. There was no voicemail. I imagined him back at Bellwether after the rehearsal dinner, loosening his tie, finally noticing my empty place in a day already full of people. Then I imagined him calling because he couldn't find an extension cord. Both versions sounded like him. Lorraine poured coffee while I stared at the phone. "Call him back," she said. "It's 7:30. He's getting married at 5:30. He's awake." "He may not be. He's marrying a woman who makes schedules with decorative corners. He's awake." I called. Daniel answered on the second ring. "Where are Dad's cufflinks?" No hello. No mention of the hour he had called. I closed my eyes. "The blue case in your personal box." "There is no blue case." "Yes, there is." I emptied the whole box. "Did you take out the photograph frame?" "What photograph frame?" "The graduation picture." "I have the picture. The blue case was taped to the back so it wouldn't get lost." Silence. A drawer opened. Something fell. Daniel swore. "Found it," he said. Lorraine pushed a cup toward me. Her face asked the question I did not want her to ask aloud. "Are they all right?" I said. "Yeah. Your father wore them at our wedding." "I know. He said they pinched. They're cufflinks." "What would they pinch? Your father could be injured by clothing nobody else found dangerous." Daniel laughed softly. The sound went through me. "Mom," he said. I waited. In the background, a door opened and Camille asked if he had found them. "Yeah," Daniel called. "They were taped behind the picture." "I told you Evelyn would know," she answered. A pause followed. Not the same pause as the one on the phone when I had asked for a chair. This one held an open door. "You still have the gold band?" he asked. "Yes." "Check-in is at 4. "I know. We're starting right at 5:30. "I know that too. I can't talk long. Marcus is coming up and we have breakfast with the guys." "Of course." Another pause. "Thanks for the cufflinks. You're welcome." He hung up. Lorraine sat across from me in silence. "Don't," I said. I didn't say anything. "You're arranging your face." "My face came this way." "He called because he needed something. He also told you when check-in starts." "That's information, not an invitation. He may not know the difference." "He's 38. Age doesn't fix everything. Look at my knees." I took the gold band upstairs and set it on top of the dresser. At 9, I showered. At 10, I dried my hair. At 10:30, I opened the garment bag. The blue dress caught the light as if it had been waiting all week to make an argument. I took it out and laid it across the bed. Lorraine stood in the doorway wearing her green rehearsal dress again. I thought you were saving that for the dermatologist. I could attend the ceremony. Yes. Do you want me to? The question carried more care than I had earned from her lately. I want you to do what you want. What if I want two opposite things? Then you're having a normal day. She came into the room and sat beside the dress. I want to be with you, she said. I also want to see Daniel get married. He's my nephew, even when I'd like to shake him until his fillings loosen. You should go. I don't want you here alone. If you stay because you think I need you, then we've learned nothing. That sounds wise. I resent it. I learned from your earrings. She touched the gold pair she had chosen, smaller than usual but still visible from space. I can go to the ceremony and leave before dinner. You have a dinner seat. So did you, eventually. Lorraine. I know. She smoothed one sheer sleeve of my dress. Are you coming? I looked at the gold band. I keep waiting for something to change inside me. What? I don't know. For the hurt to get smaller than the wanting. And it hasn't. She nodded. Neither of us said that the ceremony was still 7 hours away. We both knew I might change my mind 6 more times. At 11:15, Bellwether House called. I let it go to voicemail. At 11:17, Megan called from her personal number. At 11:20, Camille sent a message. Please don't answer any vendor calls. This is not your problem today. Then, I mean that kindly, I wrote, I know. At noon, the family group filled with pictures of breakfast. Daniel stood between Marcus and 2 other friends, holding a coffee cup and wearing a shirt that needed steaming. I zoomed in before I could stop myself. Wrinkled, Lorraine said over my shoulder. I noticed. He'll survive. The collar is folded under. He'll marry slightly to the left. I put the phone down. At 1, Daniel called again. This time, he said hello. Hi, I replied. Did you pack 2 pictures for the memorial table? Yes. We only found the graduation one. The other is wrapped behind the frame with the graduation picture. Why did you hide everything? I protected the glass. I know, sorry. There are boxes everywhere. Where are you? At Bellwether. We came over early because the hotel lost Marcus's garment bag. Did they find it? It was in his car. That sounds like Marcus. Yeah. Voices moved around him. A door slammed. Someone said the photographer had arrived. Is the shirt wrinkled? I asked. What? Your shirt. He looked at it, or I imagined him looking. A little. Hang it in the bathroom and run the shower hot. Camille will kill me if I make my hair frizz. Then use the steamer. Which box? I didn't pack the steamer. You were supposed to bring yours. His words came automatically. We both heard them. Daniel stopped. I know what you mean. I can get one from the hotel. Yes. Mom. I waited again. You have plenty of time if you're coming, I know. Camille put you at table 4. I saw. Dr. Morris was fine about moving. I'm happy for his flexibility. You don't have to do anything. The sentence should have been enough. It was so close to enough. Do you want me there? I asked. His sigh was small, but I heard it. I cannot have this exact conversation today. You called me. Because I couldn't find Dad's picture. I know. He said my name, not Mom, but Evelyn, under his breath, the way Frank used to when I was making something harder than he thought it needed to be. Then Daniel said, I have to go. The call ended. At 2, I put on the blue dress. It fit exactly as it had in the store. The waist lay smooth. The sleeves softened my arms. I fastened pearl earrings Frank had given me on our 20th anniversary and stepped into the shoes Lorraine had criticized. When I came downstairs, she covered her mouth. Oh, Evie, don't cry. You'll start me. You look beautiful. Are the shoes wrong? Completely. It's too late. She took my picture by the window, then another near the fireplace because the first one caught the vacuum cord in the background. I looked at the photographs. I looked like the mother of the groom. At 3:30, I removed the pearl earrings. At 3:40, I sat on the edge of my bed. At 3:50, Lorraine stood in the doorway with her purse in one hand and her gold wristband in the other. I have to leave if I'm going. I know. Last chance to ride with me. I pressed my palms flat against the blue fabric over my knees. I can't. She closed her eyes for a moment, then crossed the room and kissed my forehead. I love you. I love you too. Keep your phone on. I will. She left. I heard her car back out, pause at the end of the driveway, then go. At 4:10, I took off the dress. The guest band remained on the dresser. I put on cotton pants and one of Frank's old shirts, the gray one I wore for gardening. It still had a faint paint stain near the pocket from the summer he decided the garage needed to be yellow. Downstairs, I made tea and did not drink it. At 5, Lorraine sent a picture from her seat. She had taken it looking forward, not at herself. Rows of white chairs faced an arch covered in flowers. A string quartet sat to one side. The aisle chair at the front right, the chair nearest Daniel's side, was empty. Your seat, Lorraine wrote. I turned the phone face down. At 5:27, it rang. Camille, I answered. I only have a second, she whispered. We're about to line up. You shouldn't be calling me, I know. Are you all right? No. Yes, my veil is pulling on one side. Move the comb half an inch toward the heavier section of lace. A breath that might have been a laugh. Of course you fixed it. You fixed it. I just told you where to move it. Evelyn, I wish you were here. I wish many things were different. I'm sorry, you're getting married. Go marry him. Do you forgive me? The question hurt because she asked it without a defense prepared. Yes, I said, I do. She began crying. Stop that, your makeup, I know, blot, don't wipe. Okay, someone called for her. I love you, Camille said quickly. Then she hung up before I could answer. At 5:30, I stood in my kitchen while my son's wedding began 7 miles away. I did not turn on music. I did not clean. I did not call anyone. I held the edge of the counter and let every minute arrive. At 5:42, I pictured Daniel sliding Frank's cufflinks through his sleeves. At 5:50, I pictured Camille's veil sitting straight. At 6:03, the family group erupted with messages. Beautiful ceremony. They did it. Perfect couple. I waited until 6:15 before looking. The first photograph was blurry. Daniel and Camille stood beneath the flowers, facing each other. His collar lay flat. Her veil curved behind her. They were both smiling. I enlarged Daniel's face. He looked happy. Relief came first. Then grief, sharp and clean. My son was married, and I had not seen it. At 7:20, while I was still sitting at the kitchen table, Daniel left a voicemail. His voice was low. The reception noise swelled behind him. You missed it, he said. There were several seconds of silence. Then I kept looking at the chair. The message ended. I listened again. You missed it. I kept looking at the chair. The second sentence reached backward and changed the first. He wasn't only accusing me, he was telling me I had been absent in a way he could see. I pressed call. The reception music came faintly through the line before Daniel's voicemail answered. I hung up without leaving a message. Calling again would have been easy. I could tell him I loved him. I could apologize for not being there without apologizing for why. I could ask whether he had eaten, whether his shirt stayed pressed, whether the photographer remembered to take a picture with Lorraine. Any of those things would reopen the old door. I sat with the phone in my hand until a message from Aunt Denise appeared. Wish you were here, Evie. Daniel said you're sick. Sending love. A photograph followed. Denise stood beside Uncle Paul at table 9. Behind them, people held champagne glasses under strings of warm lights. The flowers looked beautiful. The place cards looked finished. I wrote, "Thank you, I'm not sick." I erased it. Then I wrote, "Thank you. Hope you have a wonderful evening." That was true, so I sent it. At 8, the family group posted a video of Daniel and Camille entering the ballroom. Everyone cheered. Daniel raised one arm, looking startled by his own happiness. Camille laughed and leaned into him. I watched it 3 times. At 8:30, a picture showed the memorial table. Only the graduation photograph was displayed. The second frame, the one of Frank asleep with the paper plate on his chest, leaned unopened against the wall behind it. The sight bothered me more than it should have. Frank would have preferred the sleeping picture. He distrusted formal photographs because, according to him, people looked like they had just been informed of taxes. I started typing a message to Daniel telling him where the second picture was wrapped. I stopped. The ceremony was over. The photograph could remain behind the frame. Nothing important depended on fixing it now. At 9:05, Lorraine called. "I'm leaving," she said. "Why? The chicken is dry. You stayed through dinner?" "I wanted cake." "Did you get cake?" "No. This marriage has provided me very little." Noise surrounded her, music, voices, the squeak of a door opening. "Are you driving?" "I'm walking to the car. I have had 1 glass of wine and half of your absent champagne." "My absent champagne?" "They poured a glass at your place." I closed my eyes. "What did they do with it?" "I drank it." "Keep up." "Did you tell people why I wasn't there?" "Some." "Lorraine," they asked. "You could have said it was private." "It stopped being private when your place card became the evening's most popular reading material." "What did you say?" "That you weren't sick, that you were sent a service credential and decided not to come after being added as a guest at the last minute." "You didn't need to say all that. I didn't mention the hallway. Thank you for your restraint." "Denise thought you had food poisoning. Paul thought you fell in the shower. Camille's mother thought you were protesting the marriage." "What?" She asked if you disapproved of Camille. "I love Camille." I told her that. She said, and I quote, "Then what is this performance?" My face burned, though I was alone. Did Daniel hear? Not that part. Did he hear any of it? Yes. I stood and carried my cold tea to the sink. What did he say? He said the band was an administrative mistake. It wasn't. I know. What else? He said you chose not to come after he fixed it. The careful way Lorraine spoke told me there was more. And he said you wanted him to beg. I gripped the edge of the counter. Lorraine's car door opened, then shut. The reception noise disappeared. "Evie, I'm here." I told him that was nonsense. You should have stayed out of it. I tried. Denise followed me into the ladies' room. Why? She wanted details. And you hate providing details. It is my greatest flaw. Despite myself, I laughed. Then Lorraine's voice softened. He kept looking at the chair. I know. "He told you?" "He left a voicemail. During dinner, he went outside by himself. Camille watched him leave, but she didn't follow. Did she seem all right? She seemed like a bride whose wedding had become a family meeting. Guilt rose sharp enough to make me press a hand to my stomach. This wasn't supposed to hurt her. No. But it does. I should have gone. Lorraine let that sit between us. "Maybe," she said. "You would still be hurt. Daniel would still have done what he did. There would just be nicer pictures." I wanted her to tell me I had made the right decision. I also would have hated her if she did. "Come here," I said. "I thought you'd never ask." She arrived 20 minutes later carrying 2 slices of wedding cake wrapped in cocktail napkins. One had lost most of its frosting to her purse. We ate them at the kitchen table with forks. The cake was lemon with raspberry filling. "It's very good," I said. "I know, I'm furious. Lorraine told me about the ceremony in pieces. Camille's veil had sat straight. Daniel's hands shook during the vows. Marcus dropped one ring, caught it against his shoe, and pretended that had been intentional. The string quartet played too slowly while everyone walked out, so the final bridesmaid had to pause near a fern. "Who walked Daniel in?" I asked. "He walked with Camille's mother." That had not been the original plan. Did he look upset? He looked like a man walking with his mother-in-law while his mother's chair watched him. Chairs don't watch. That one did. I went to bed after midnight and dreamed I was inside Bellwether House carrying a tray. Every door opened onto my own dining room, filled again with boxes I could not lift. When I came downstairs, Lorraine had gone home and left a note beside the coffee maker. "Do not attend brunch out of guilt. Also, you're out of milk." The brunch began at 10. I knew because the gold itinerary still sat on my dresser. I put it in the drawer with the wristbands and closed it. At 11, Camille sent one photograph, Daniel's hand over hers, both rings visible against a white tablecloth. No message. I touched the screen over her fingers. Then I put the phone away. Daniel arrived at 1:20. I saw him through the front window. He wore tan pants and a white shirt open at the neck. His wedding ring flashed when he slammed the car door. For years, I had imagined the first time I would see that ring. I thought I might take his hand and kiss it. Frank would have made a joke about shackles. We would all laugh, and I would try not to cry because Daniel hated when I cried at happy things. Instead, my son stood on my porch and knocked like a stranger. I let him in. He did not kiss me. "Where's Camille?" I asked. "With her mother." "How is she? How do you think?" "I don't know." That's why I asked. He went into the living room but did not sit. His eyes found the chair where I had told him I was not coming. "You wore the dress," he said. I looked down. I had forgotten the picture Lorraine took was in the family group. She must have sent it to Denise, who could circulate weather inside a sealed building. For a little while. "So you got dressed and still decided not to come." "Yes, that is unbelievable. It wasn't easy. Nothing about yesterday was easy. I'm sorry." "No, you're not." The words hit harder because part of me agreed. Daniel began pacing between the couch and fireplace. The photographer asked me 4 times when my mother was arriving. Bellwether kept your chair open through dinner. Camille's mother thought you hated her daughter. Half the family spent the reception talking about your wristband. I didn't tell them to. Aunt Lorraine did. People asked. You made sure they would. How? By not being there. So my absence told the truth? Your absence made a spectacle. I was at home. You humiliated me without even showing up. He stopped pacing. The sentence hung there, astonishing in its accuracy. My humiliation is not something I chose for you, I said. You knew exactly how it would look. I knew how it felt. That's not the same. No. Feeling it was private. Seeing it embarrassed you. His face tightened. You wanted people to think I'm a terrible son. I wanted you to stop treating me like staff. I changed the band. After you got caught, I moved guests. I gave you a chair. I told you not to work. After Camille made you, you punished me anyway. This wasn't punishment. What else do you call missing your only son's wedding to make a point? A cost. For me. For both of us. His eyes reddened. You didn't see me get married. I know. You will never get that back. I know. And you're standing there acting calm. If I stop acting calm, I won't be able to stand. That silenced him. I sat in Frank's chair without noticing until I was already there. Daniel looked at me differently when he saw it. The welcome bags were a disaster, he said. Quieter. The memorial table was missing a picture. We almost didn't have Dad's cufflinks. The place cards were crooked. You got married. Yes. So the important thing happened. You used to care about details. I still care. I'm learning not every detail is mine to carry. He looked down at his new ring. Camille and I spent the first hour after the reception arguing. I'm sorry. She says I lied to her. You did. She says I made her part of excluding you. You did. His head snapped up. Can you stop agreeing with everything against me for 1 minute? I'm not against you. It feels like everyone is. I am your mother, Daniel. I love you. That does not make you right. He sat on the couch at last, shoulders slumped. What happens now? He asked. I don't know. Are you going to keep doing this? Doing what? Pulling away until I apologize correctly. I'm not waiting for a correct apology. Then what are you waiting for? Nothing. He stared at me. I took a breath. I'm not managing your life anymore. I won't keep spare keys, track appointments, host dinners you announce, or take requests disguised as compliments. If you want to see me, call because you want to see me. His expression changed from hurt to alarm. You're cutting me off. No, I'm changing what I offer because of the wedding, because the wedding showed me what we had become. He stood. Fine. Daniel, no, you got what you wanted. Everyone saw me accurately, right? That isn't what I said, it's what you meant. He walked to the door. I followed but did not reach for him. When will I see you? I asked. I don't know, he said. Then my newly married son left, and for the first time in his life, I did not run after him to make sure he took everything he needed. The house held his absence differently after that. When Daniel was young, silence meant he was in another room doing something he hoped I wouldn't discover. Later, it meant college, work, a new apartment, a life that was supposed to pull him outward. Even after Frank died, Daniel's Sunday calls put a fence around the quiet. Now silence felt chosen. At 11 the following Sunday, I carried my phone from room to room as if the reception might improve near certain furniture. I cleaned the bathroom sink. I watered the begonias. I changed the sheets in the guest room where Lorraine had slept. Daniel did not call. At 11:40, Camille sent a photograph from the airport. 2 paper coffee cups, her hand beside his, both rings visible again. Heading out for a few days. Love you. I wrote, have a beautiful trip. Then I spent 10 minutes deciding whether to include Daniel's name. I finally sent, you and Daniel deserve some rest. Camille responded with a heart. Daniel did not respond at all. I still had the spare key to their townhouse. It hung behind the pantry door on a brass hook Frank had installed too high. A small blue tag said, DC, though Camille had not lived there when I first received it. For years, I used that key to bring in packages, water plants, and wait for repairmen who gave appointment windows long enough to include geological events. I took it off the hook. The metal had left a clean line in the dust. I put the key in an envelope, wrote Daniel's name on the front, and set it beside my purse. It remained there 4 days. Every time I passed it, I found a new reason not to send it. Mail could be lost. Daniel might think I was making another statement. Camille might need me to check something while they were away. On Thursday, I drove to their townhouse. I told myself I was only delivering the key. I did not tell myself why I had chosen a time when I knew they were out of town. The place looked exactly as it had before the wedding, except for 3 delivery boxes stacked by the door and a silver "Just Married" banner sagging across the small front window. Somebody had tied white ribbon around the porch rail. Rain had made it limp. I picked up the packages and reached for the key automatically. Then I stopped. If I opened the door, I would carry the boxes inside. I would notice the plants were dry. I would take out anything left in the refrigerator before their trip. 1 task would become 6, and by the time Daniel returned, the house would have quietly confirmed that mothers did not require invitations. I set the packages neatly beneath the overhang. Then I slid the key envelope through the mail slot. The envelope hit the floor inside with a soft slap. That was all. No thunder, no neighbor appeared to ask why an elderly woman was feeding metal through her son's door. I went home. Aunt Denise called that afternoon. I don't want to interfere, she said. Denise had begun interfering before caller identification existed. Then don't. I'm calling because I love you both. That sentence usually means interference. She ignored me. Daniel is devastated. Did he tell you that? He didn't have to. I saw his face. At the reception? He kept looking at your chair. So I've heard. I'm not saying what he did was right. That wristband was awful. Thank you. But missing the wedding was worse. There are relatives who can turn pain into a pie contest. One crust must be flakier. One person must win. I'm not comparing, I said. I'm just saying there were other ways. I tried talking to him. You could have gone and discussed it later. Then later he would have said I came, so it couldn't have hurt that much. Denise went quiet. She knew Daniel, too. You should call him, she said. He knows my number. He's stubborn. So am I. You're his mother. The phrase had become a tool everyone reached for. Yes, I said, I am. A mother is supposed to be the bigger person. I've been bigger for 38 years. I'm tired. Denise sighed. I don't want this to become permanent. Neither do I. Then fix it. I can't fix something by myself when fixing everything by myself is the problem. That finally silenced her. She called again the next day to ask whether I wanted to attend an antique fair. which was Denise's version of apologizing. I went. We spent 3 hours looking at furniture neither of us needed. Denise bought a ceramic rooster with one chipped wing. I bought a round tablecloth printed with blue leaves. "What's that for?" she asked. "My table." "You have tablecloths. This one isn't for a wedding." She did not argue. I put it on the dining table that evening. The room looked startlingly ordinary without boxes. I centered a bowl of apples, then moved it slightly left because perfect centering reminded me of Camille. On Sunday, Daniel still did not call. I ate lunch in the dining room with the phone in the kitchen. The week after that, an email arrived from the wedding photographer. My address remained on the family distribution list. "Your memories are ready." I nearly deleted it. Instead, I opened the gallery. There were 812 photographs. The first ones showed Bellwether House before anyone arrived. Empty chairs, untouched flowers, place settings lined like soldiers. Then came Camille getting ready. Her mother fastened the veil while Camille looked into the mirror. The gold comb sat perfectly. Daniel's photographs began in another room. Marcus held up the cufflinks while Daniel laughed. In the next image, Daniel stared down at his wrists, and the laughter was gone. I enlarged the picture until Frank's cufflinks blurred. There was the crooked place card Lorraine had mentioned, the graduation photograph on the memorial table, Marcus trapping a ring against his shoe, Daniel walking beside Camille's mother. Then the photographer had captured him at the front before the ceremony started. Everyone else faced the aisle. Daniel looked sideways at the empty chair. His expression was not anger. It was the bewildered pain of someone arriving at a consequence he had believed would change direction before reaching him. I closed the gallery. An hour later, I opened it again. The family portraits were beautiful and wrong. Camille with her mother, Camille with her father and his partner, Daniel with Lorraine and the cousins, Daniel and Camille together beneath the flower arch. No mother and son, no Frank, except in silver at Daniel's wrists. I downloaded one photograph of the newlyweds laughing after the ceremony. Camille's head was thrown back, and Daniel was looking at her as if he had just heard happiness speak his name. I printed it and placed it on the mantel, not beside Frank, on the other end. Lorraine found it there during her next visit. "You looked at the gallery," she said. "Most of it." "I looked fantastic. You were blinking in half the pictures." "I blink with charisma." She picked up the frame. "You chose this one. They look happy." "They are, I think." "You think?" "They're angry, too. Human beings are inefficient that way." She set the picture down. "Has he called?" "No." "Camille, some messages. What does she say?" "That the trip was lovely. That they ate too much. She sent a picture of Daniel asleep on a hotel balcony. Did you save it?" "Yes." Lorraine smiled but did not tease me. I had not told Camille about the key, and she did not mention it. Daniel did not send a thank you or an accusation. The silence continued so evenly that I started measuring my days without him. Tuesday was grocery shopping. Wednesday, I met Denise for coffee. Thursday, I walked at the community center because the summer heat made walking outside feel like being punished by the sun. On Fridays, Lorraine and I tried a beginner pottery class. Her first bowl looked like a hat somebody had stepped on. "It's abstract," she said. "It's leaking. It rejects containment." Mine was round and technically held water, which the instructor praised until Lorraine accused me of trying to become teacher's pet at 68. The class did not transform me. Clay got under my nails. My back hurt from leaning over the wheel. One woman named Judith talked about her former husband so often I knew his cholesterol by the third week. Still, for 2 hours, nobody needed me to solve anything. I made a blue bowl and put it in the dining room. Sunday arrived 6 times without Daniel calling. The first 3, I waited. The 4th, I went to lunch with Lorraine and left my phone in the car. The 5th, I forgot to check the time until nearly noon. The 6th, the smoke detector began chirping. The sound came every 47 seconds, just far enough apart to convince me it had stopped. I pulled the stepladder from the garage, placed it beneath the detector, and climbed 2 steps before remembering Daniel's midnight visit years earlier. He had arrived in sweatpants and 1 dress shoe because, he claimed, it was the first thing he found in the dark. "Mom, if there were a fire, the alarm wouldn't politely chirp once a minute," he had said. "How do I know the fire isn't shy?" He laughed so hard he nearly dropped the battery. Standing on the ladder, I missed him with such force that I had to climb down. I sat on the floor beneath the chirping detector. There was nothing dignified about boundaries. Nobody tells you that. They show people walking away from disrespect with straight backs and good lighting. They do not show the empty Sundays, the old jokes with nowhere to go, or the humiliating urge to create a small emergency just to hear a familiar voice. The detector chirped again. I called Lorraine. She answered from somewhere noisy. "If this is about lunch, I'm buying shoes. My smoke detector needs a battery. Call Daniel." "No." A pause. "Good," she said. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. You don't have to leave, I know." She arrived in 32 minutes with batteries, a shopping bag, and no dress shoe on either foot. We changed the battery together. By together, I mean Lorraine climbed the ladder while I told her not to fall. Afterward, we ate takeout under the new detector, waiting to see if it would chirp again. It didn't. "That was anticlimactic," she said. "I prefer electrical safety without a plot." My phone rang on the counter. I saw Daniel's name and stopped breathing. Lorraine saw it too. She stood, gathered the takeout containers, and carried them to the kitchen without a word. I answered before the call could go to voicemail. "Hello? Mom." His voice sounded the same. That was the first cruelty. "Hi." Neither of us spoke. Then Daniel asked, "Can I come over?" My eyes went to the smoke detector. "What do you need?" The question escaped before I could soften it. He was quiet for a moment. "Nothing," he said. "I don't need anything." I closed my eyes. "Okay. Is now all right?" "Yes, I'll be there in 20 minutes. After we hung up, Lorraine appeared in the doorway holding the trash bag. "Well, he's coming over. What does he want?" He says nothing. She looked toward the window where the late afternoon light had turned the glass gold. "Maybe," she said. He finally figured out that's an answer. Lorraine refused to stay. "This is your conversation," she said. "You've never respected that before. I'm trying personal growth. It's exhausting." She tied the trash bag, then pointed at me with 1 red fingernail. "Do not make him a meal." I wasn't going to. "Do not offer to him anything. He's coming to talk, not audition pants. Do not apologize before he sits down. You can leave now." At the front door, she hugged me hard enough to press the air out of my chest. "If it goes badly, call me. And if it goes well, call me faster. I'll need details." After she left, I wiped the already clean kitchen counter and put water in the coffee maker. I caught myself reaching for Daniel's favorite mug, the dark green one with the chipped handle, and chose 2 plain white cups instead. Then I turned the coffee maker off. He said he did not need anything. That included coffee. Daniel arrived in 24 minutes. He wore jeans and a pale blue shirt with the sleeves rolled unevenly. No jacket, no bakery bag, no box he needed help carrying. He stood on the porch with empty hands. I opened the door. "Hi," he said. "Hi." We looked at each other. His hair was shorter than it had been at the wedding. His face seemed thinner, though mothers can detect starvation in sons who have gained weight. "Come in." Daniel stepped inside and glanced automatically toward the kitchen. "I'm not here for dinner." "I know. I ate. I didn't ask." "Right." He rubbed one hand over the back of his neck. The discomfort between us was almost funny. I had seen Daniel naked, feverish, heartbroken, drunk once in college, and dressed as a pirate for a costume party he later denied attending. Now neither of us knew whether he should take off his shoes. "You can leave them on," I said. I wasn't okay. In the living room, he stopped at the mantel. "You printed one." "The photographer did nice work." Daniel picked up the wedding photograph. His thumb moved across the edge of the frame. "This was after Camille stepped on my foot. You look happy." I was. He set it back exactly where it had been. You put it across from Dad. It looked balanced. He glanced at Frank's photograph, then at me. Is that all? No. Okay. He noticed the blue pottery bowl on the dining table. Where did that come from? I made it. You made a bowl? Lorraine made a collapsed hat. I made a bowl. He picked it up and inspected the bottom. It's actually round. You sound surprised. I remember the birdhouse. You were 7. The roof still bothers me. You refused help. I wanted to make it myself. I know. Something passed between us. Not an accusation exactly, though both of us could have used it as one. Daniel put the bowl down. We sat in the living room. He took the couch. I sat in Frank's chair again, this time deliberately. Daniel noticed. I kept expecting you to call, he said. I kept expecting you to call. I thought you wanted space. I did. How much? I didn't know. He leaned back, then forward again, his hands clasped between his knees. I had about 7 versions of this conversation in the car. Were any of them good? 2 were excellent. You admitted everything, and I was very gracious. That does sound efficient. He smiled, but his eyes stayed tired. Camille said if I came here looking for you to admit anything, I should keep driving. I like her. I know. How is she? Still married to me. That wasn't what I asked. She's good, she's angry. Still? Less loudly. I waited. Daniel stared at his hands. She won't let me make this a contest between you and her, he said. Every time I say you put her in the middle, she says I put her there first. She's right. I know. The words sounded different now. He did not throw them or swallow them. He simply placed them between us. She said I owe her an apology separate from the one I owe you, he continued, because I made her think excluding you was your idea. That is separate. I know that too. What happened to the version where everything you said was technically true? He winced. It started sounding worse every time I explained it. That happens. Daniel got up, walked to the window, then came back without looking outside. He had inherited pacing from Frank and apologizing from no one. I did want you at the wedding, he said. I felt my body stiffen. Don't, he added. I know how that sounds now. How does it sound? Like I want credit. Do you? Part of me does. The honesty surprised us both. He sat again. I wanted you there, he said. But I wanted you there in the way that was easiest for me. I wanted to know you were nearby without having to think about where you sat, whether you were sad, whether I was supposed to dance with you, whether Camille's parents were going to complain about another seat at the front. I did not move. When her dad added those clients, we had to redo the dinner chart, Daniel continued. There was one open spot at the family table, and Camille said it should be yours. Her mother said she wouldn't sit there if her ex-husband's partner was across from her. I told Camille you wouldn't care. I said you'd rather move around. Did you believe that? I wanted to. That isn't the same. No. He looked toward the mantel. I had already told Bellwether you were family support because we needed somebody there early. Megan asked whether you also needed a guest band. I said no. There it was. Not a capacity limit. Not a mysterious venue policy. A question and an answer. Why? Because if you had the guest itinerary, Camille would ask where you were sitting. You would ask where you were sitting. We'd have to solve it. So you solved me instead. Yes? The word barely had sound. My left eye burned. Daniel saw it go red. He looked down quickly, giving me the dignity of pretending he had not. I told Camille you volunteered, he said. I told myself you basically had. You kept asking what else you could do. You said you hated sitting around. You said you didn't want us worrying about you. I meant I could take care of myself. I heard that I didn't have to take care of you. I'm not asking to be taken care of. I know. I think I made everything into 2 choices. Either you were helping me or I had to manage you. I didn't consider that you could just be there. The house was very quiet. Somewhere in the kitchen, the refrigerator motor started. Why now? I asked. What? Why can you say this now and not on the porch or before the wedding? Because on the porch, I still thought the problem was whether I was a bad person. That mattered more than whether I hurt me? Yes. He swallowed. I mean, it felt like if I admitted what I did, then I was the kind of son who would do that. So I kept arguing details. The band, the seats, what you had said about formal dinners. I thought if I proved I wasn't cruel, then you couldn't be hurt. People don't need cruel intentions to cause pain. Camille said almost the same thing. She's very smart. She says she gets that from working in hotel sales. I smiled through the pressure in my throat. Daniel rubbed his wedding ring with his thumb. "I'm sorry," he said. No explanation followed. The quiet after those 2 words felt different from every silence we had endured. I let it remain. Daniel's eyes filled. He blinked hard, looked toward the ceiling, then laughed once at himself. "This is the part where you usually tell me it's okay." "I know." "You're not going to?" "No." He nodded. "Okay, I believe you're sorry, but it isn't okay." "No. I can't fix the wedding. No, I can't give it back to you. No." His face folded. He covered his mouth with one hand, but the sound escaped anyway. I had not seen Daniel cry since Frank's funeral. Even then, he had turned away from me, as though grief were something a son should hide to avoid increasing his mother's workload. Every part of me wanted to cross the room. I stayed where I was, not because he deserved to cry alone, because I had spent years ending his discomfort before it could teach him anything. After a moment, he wiped his face with both palms. "I looked at your chair before Camille came down the aisle," he said. "I kept thinking you'd be there, that you'd show up at the last second because you always do. I almost did." "Why didn't you?" "Because I knew if I came, you'd remember that I came. You wouldn't remember what it cost me to walk through that door. I would now. Now is different." He nodded. "I saw the picture of you in the dress. Lorraine sent it to Denise. She looked beautiful," he said. "Lorraine? You. Thank you. I wanted you there." "I know you believe that." "No, I know what I mean now. I wanted my mother there. I just didn't make room for her until it was too late." My tears came then. Daniel started to stand. I held up one hand. He sat back down. That mattered more than he could have known. I wiped my eyes with the cuff of my shirt. "I need to tell you something, too," I said. "I helped build this." "No, you didn't." "I did. Not the wedding. Us." He shook his head. "I liked being the person you called. After your father died, being useful felt close enough to being loved that I stopped checking the difference. I did love you. I know. But I made it easy for you to love me only in motion. That doesn't excuse me." "No, it explains some of what I allowed." He looked toward the dining room. "I got the key. I know. That hurt. I'm sorry it hurt." "Are you asking for mine?" "No, I would give it back. I know. What if something happens? You call. I decide whether I can help. That sounds formal. It will feel that way until it doesn't." Daniel leaned back and looked at the ceiling. "The smoke detector battery is new. Lorraine changed it." "You called her?" "Yes. I would have come." "I know. Were you proving a point?" "I was keeping a promise to myself." He absorbed that. Then he asked, "Am I allowed to call on Sundays?" "If you want to talk to me." "What if I need something?" "You can ask. And you might say no." "Yes." "That is going to be irritating. I expect it will." He smiled a little. We sat for another hour. Nothing dramatic happened. I made coffee after all, and Daniel drank from the plain white cup. He asked about pottery. I asked about the trip. He told me Camille snored after drinking red wine, and I told him marriage required selective hearing. When he left, he hugged me on the porch. He did not say everything was fixed. Neither did I. The following Sunday, he called at 11:03. For the first 10 minutes, I waited for the request. It never came. The Sunday after that, he forgot to call. I was hurt, then angry at myself for being hurt, then amused by the fact that boundaries had not cured me of being his mother. He called Monday and apologized. A week later, he asked if I could wait at the townhouse for a plumber. My chest tightened. Before I answered, Daniel said, "Never mind. That's exactly the kind of thing we talked about. I can reschedule." "You can ask, Daniel." "I know." "But I was about to call it a visit. That's the problem." "Yeah." He rescheduled. The repair was awkward. It failed in small places and had to be picked up again. Sometimes Daniel overcorrected and refused help he genuinely needed. Sometimes I offered 3 solutions before he finished describing a problem. Camille visited alone one afternoon. She brought the corrected wedding album with the second picture of Frank included on the memorial page. "I found it after the reception," she said. "He would have liked that one better." "I know," Daniel told me. She looked at the blue bowl, the leaf-patterned tablecloth, the ordinary room. "He's trying," she said. "So am I. I miss this house. You're welcome here, even without an assignment. Especially then." 2 months after the wedding, Daniel called on a Thursday. "Camille and I want to have you and Aunt Lorraine over Sunday." "For what?" "Dinner." "What should I bring?" "Nothing." "Do you need me to come early?" "No." "Tablecloth? Serving dishes?" "Mom, I'm asking." Daniel laughed. "Come at 6, he said. "Come hungry. That's the whole job." I looked toward the mantel where his wedding photograph faced Frank's across the room. "All right," I said, "I can do that." Lorraine arrived at my house at 5:20 carrying a bottle of wine. "You were told not to bring anything." "I wasn't told." "You were told." "I told you." "You are not the host." She wore black pants, a red sweater, and earrings shaped like small gold suns. I had changed blouses 3 times and finally chosen the first one, a soft blue button-down Daniel had given me 2 Christmases earlier. Lorraine examined me. "You're nervous." "I am not. You buttoned that wrong." I looked down. The 3rd button was in the 4th hole. "Maybe I'm making a fashion statement." "Your statement is asking for help." I fixed it while she wandered into the dining room and inspected my pottery bowl. "Still round," she said. "Your hat's still leaking." "It has become a planter. That's not what the instructor intended. Art exceeds intention." We left the wine on my kitchen counter. At 5:58, we stood on Daniel and Camille's porch. The white ribbon was gone from the railing. The Just Married banner had been removed from the window, though one piece of silver tape remained in the upper corner. I could see the shadow of the old letters on the glass. My key no longer lived in my purse. For a second, my hand moved toward the empty pocket where it used to be. Then I rang the bell. Daniel opened the door wearing a gray apron over a white shirt. Flour marked one sleeve. His hair stuck up at the crown, and something behind him smelled strongly of garlic. "You're early," he said. "It's 6. "Exactly. You invited Lorraine. Time becomes approximate." Lorraine walked past him. "I heard that. I hoped you would." He hugged me. Not a cautious half-embrace. A real one. "Come in," he said. "Shoes can stay on." I wasn't going to ask. "You always ask. I'm growing." "So I've heard." Camille appeared from the kitchen carrying a wooden spoon. She wore jeans and a green blouse, her hair pinned back with the gold comb from her veil. I stared at it. She touched the comb. "Too much?" "No. It's beautiful. I thought it deserved another evening." She hugged me, then Lorraine. "Do not go into the kitchen," she said. "Daniel has become territorial." "I'm cooking," Daniel called. "You're monitoring temperatures. That's cooking with accountability." The townhouse looked familiar and changed. Wedding photographs stood on the mantel and side tables. A vase from one of the reception centerpieces held grocery store daisies. The unopened delivery boxes were gone. Near the pantry, the brass hook where my key once hung was empty. Daniel had set the dining table with white plates and cloth napkins folded into uneven rectangles. 4 place cards stood above the forks: Evelyn, Lorraine, Camille, Daniel. Lorraine picked hers up. "Should this say, 'Full weekend guest'?" Daniel closed his eyes. "Please don't. I'm asking for credential clarity. You can eat in the rear corridor. Is there wine? Plenty. I accept. I watched Daniel to see if the joke hurt. It did, a little. He smiled anyway. That was different from pretending. "What are we having?" I asked. "Chicken, potatoes, green beans, and bread." "Did you make the bread?" "Yes." Camille leaned toward me. "The second loaf." "What happened to the first?" Daniel pointed a wooden spoon at her. We agreed not to discuss previous loaves. The first loaf could support a sedan. It was structurally sound. Lorraine sat at the table and unfolded her napkin. "Let's eat the load-bearing one. You're both very brave in a house where I control the food," Daniel said. A timer beeped. His whole body turned toward the kitchen. I followed automatically. "Sit," he said. "I can carry something. I know." "The beans?" "No. I could pour water." "Mom." His tone held no irritation, only a request. I sat beside Lorraine. Daniel and Camille moved between the kitchen and dining room. Camille brought the potatoes. Daniel carried the chicken with both hands, his face arranged into false calm. The skin was golden and slightly darker on one side. "It looks wonderful," I said. "You haven't tasted it." "I have eyes. Please use more than those before reviewing." He returned for the beans and bread. Camille started to follow. "I've got it," he said. She sat across from me. "This is new," I murmured. He watched 14 cooking videos. 12. 14. I was present for the man who yelled about rosemary. He was passionate. Daniel brought in the last dish, removed his apron, and sat. Nobody reached for the food. He looked around the table. "What?" "You cooked," Camille said. "You serve. I don't know what everybody wants." "You could ask," I said. Daniel pointed the carving knife toward me. "White meat or dark?" "Dark." "Aunt Lorraine." Whichever survived. He served us each, then Camille, then himself. His slices were uneven. One broke in half before reaching my plate. He did not apologize for it. The chicken was good. The potatoes needed salt. The green beans had enough garlic to protect the house from every vampire in the county. Lorraine ate 2 servings. "This is excellent," she said. "I'm disappointed. Thank you. I expected more vulnerability. The bread is available." Daniel had made 4 small rolls, each a different shape. Mine looked like a fist. I broke it open. Steam rose from the center. "It's good." He watched me chew. "It is," I said again. His shoulders relaxed. Conversation came in awkward starts. Camille told us about a guest at work who demanded a room facing east but complained when the sun came through the window. Lorraine described Judith from pottery class and her former husband's cholesterol. "Why do you know that?" Daniel asked. "Judith believes information should travel." "That's rich coming from you," I said. "I curate." Judith floods. Daniel asked to see photographs of our pottery. I showed him the blue bowl. Lorraine showed him the planter that had once been a hat. "It looks intentional," Camille said. "That's what I keep telling her," Lorraine replied. "It looks like the earth rejected it," I said. We laughed. The sound moved easily through the room, and I noticed how long it had been since all 4 of us had laughed together without someone using it to escape a conversation. Halfway through dinner, Daniel got up to check something in the kitchen. A moment later, smoke drifted through the doorway. Camille sniffed. "Bread?" "Nothing is burning," Daniel called. The smoke detector began shrieking. Lorraine pushed back her chair. "There's the vulnerability." I stood. Daniel appeared holding a blackened dish towel. "Sit down," he said. "What happened?" The towel touched the burner. "Is the burner off?" "Yes." "Put the towel in the sink." I did. "Run water over it." I did that too. The alarm continued. Camille opened a window. Daniel grabbed a magazine and waved it beneath the detector. I took one step toward him. He looked at me over the magazine. "I've got it." I stopped. He kept waving. Camille laughed. Lorraine covered her ears and shouted advice nobody could hear. The alarm finally went silent. Daniel lowered the magazine. "There," he said. The kitchen smelled like burned cotton, but nothing else had caught fire. No emergency had become mine. We sat again. "Dessert is store-bought," Camille announced. "Smartest decision all evening," Lorraine said. Daniel cleared the plates before bringing out a lemon cake. I rose to help. "Mom, it's 4 plates. I can count. I didn't say you couldn't. You stood up." "I stand sometimes. It's medically encouraged." He held my plate in one hand. "Please sit." I looked at him. There was no audience waiting to reward either of us. No music, no photographer, no one except Camille and Lorraine, both suddenly very interested in the cake box. I sat. Daniel carried the dishes into the kitchen. The sound of running water followed. A cabinet opened. Plates settled into the dishwasher. "He's going to load it badly," I whispered. Camille leaned across the table. "I know. You're letting him?" "I'm practicing." Lorraine patted her arm. "Stay strong." Daniel returned with cake and coffee. He gave me the dark green mug with the chipped handle. "You remembered," I said. "I remember things. I know." He sat beside Camille and took her hand under the edge of the table. I saw because mothers notice hands even when we are trying to mind our own business. After dessert, Daniel brought out the wedding album. He did not make a ceremony of it. He simply set it on the table and asked whether Lorraine and I wanted to see the printed version. The cover was blue cloth, close to the color of my dress. We turned the pages slowly, Camille getting ready. The gold comb, Daniel fastening Frank's cufflinks, the ceremony, the rings. The empty chair appeared only once, at the edge of a photograph taken before the guests sat down. Daniel did not turn the page quickly. "This is where I kept looking," he said. "I know. You saw the gallery?" "Yes." He rested 2 fingers on the white space of the chair. "I almost asked the photographer to remove this one. Why didn't you?" "Because it happened." Nobody rushed to comfort him. After a moment, I turned the page. The memorial table appeared later. The graduation photograph stood in its frame. The picture of Frank asleep in the lawn chair had been added beside it, still slightly crooked. "I found it before cake," Camille said. "He would have been relieved." Daniel smiled. "Because his picture was there? Because nobody made him sit through the ceremony in a suit." At the back of the album, an envelope held loose photographs. Daniel removed one. It was the picture Lorraine had taken of me in the blue dress beside my fireplace. "I asked her for it," he said. Lorraine looked offended. "You told me Denise sent it. She sent a screenshot with 6 messages across the top. I wanted the original." He slid the photograph toward me. "Why isn't it in the album?" I asked. "I didn't know if you'd want it there." I looked at myself in the blue dress. I was smiling because Lorraine had just told me one shoe looked orthopedic. "Not in the wedding album," I said. Daniel nodded. "But I'd like a copy." "That is a copy." I put it in my purse. We finished coffee. Lorraine left first, announcing that she had consumed enough garlic to become medically interesting. Camille hugged her at the door. "Next time, we cook," Lorraine said. "There's a next time?" Daniel asked. "If you improve the wine." After she drove away, I remained on the porch with Daniel and Camille. The evening was warm. A moth struck the porch light repeatedly, mistaking persistence for strategy. "Thank you for coming," Camille said. "Thank you for dinner." Daniel put one arm around her. "We meant what we said," he told me. "You don't need to bring anything when you come here. I may bring wine. That is socially different." "What about a tablecloth?" "Mom, I'm testing the edges. They appear functional." Camille kissed my cheek and went inside carrying the album. Daniel stayed on the porch. "Do you want the key back?" he asked. My old key, or one like it, lay in his open palm. I looked at it. "Not yet." His fingers closed around the metal. "Okay. Ask me again someday. I will." He hugged me. "Call when you get home," he said. "That sounds like an assignment. It's a request." I may say no. I know. I called anyway. At home, the blue dress still hung in its garment bag. I unzipped it and placed the photograph from dinner night on the dresser beneath it. Then I opened the drawer. The gold guest bands lay together. The gray service access band rested apart from them, still unfastened. I picked it up. For months, I had thought I kept it because I never wanted to forget what Daniel had done. Standing there after an ordinary dinner he had cooked, served, and cleaned up himself, I understood that was only half true. I kept it because I never wanted to forget what I had accepted. I put the gray band back in the drawer and closed it. Downstairs, my dark green mug sat beside the sink. Daniel had packed a slice of lemon cake for me, and for once, that was the only thing my son had asked me to carry home.